Just before the special live broadcast began, the new intern Chui Nan burst into my office, her eyes red and her voice choked with tears. Director Xia, please give me a chance to try, I'm begging you. In my previous life, for the sake of the company's interests, I coldly and firmly rejected her. My fiancé Gua Mingchu broke up with me over this, roaring, Xia Genie, is your heart made of iron? You're even jealous of an intern. I ignored him and, covered in bruises from struggling while they had locked me in the dressing room, I single-handedly pushed through and completed the entire live broadcast. In the end, the company made tens of millions in profit and successfully went public, but the intern, having missed out on this live broadcast opportunity, drowned her sorrows in alcohol and was assaulted by thugs. Gua Mingchu blamed everything on me and, during our honeymoon, personally sold me into the black market in Thailand. He pinched my chin and said with a smile, you ruined Xiaonan, so I'll ruin you. That's only fair. I was ultimately tortured to death. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the moment Chui Nan begged me for a chance. I personally handed her the process sheet. I've given you the opportunity, make the most of it, Genie, give the newcomer a chance. Chui Nan has great potential. I'm never wrong about people. Gua Mingchu's words pulled my thoughts back, and I sneered inwardly. Chui Nan was just a recent university graduate, interning at the company, having hosted 2 early morning snack live streams with a cumulative performance of less than 30,000. What kind of event is this today? The Zhou Fufu brand special. This jewelry brand was one our company fought tooth and nail for half a year to secure. If we mess this up, the company that Gua Mingchu and I built from scratch with blood, sweat, and tears will be completely wiped out. In my past life, it was precisely for our shared life's work that I desperately tried to stop him from acting recklessly. Even after he locked me in the dressing room, I broke down the door and rushed to make it to the live broadcast. In the end, that live stream earned the company tens of millions in profit, laying the cornerstone for its IPO. But what about Gua Mingchu? Chui Nan drowned her sorrows in drink and was humiliated by some thugs. He blamed me for what happened to Chui Nan and, during our honeymoon, personally sold me into the black market in Thailand. I still remember the smile that lingered at the corner of Gua Mingchu's lips as he pushed me toward the human traffickers. In this life, I want to see just how capable Gua Mingchu really is without me. I lifted my gaze, looking past the weeping Chui Nan, and saw the glances Gua Mingchu kept stealing in her direction, the deep, lingering affection in those glances. How did I fail to see it in my past life? Since Gua Mingchu is willingly using the company to play games with his beloved, then I no longer need to fight to preserve this hard-won endeavor. I picked up the process sheet from the table, walked over to Chui Nan myself, and shoved it into her arms. Fine, since it's a personal recommendation from President Gua, I agree, the opportunity is given to you, make the most of it. Chui Nan was taken aback, tears still hanging on her eyelashes, her expression frozen. Gua Mingchu was also stunned for a moment, then a satisfied smile bloomed on his face. He took a step forward, put his arm around my shoulder, his tone intimate. I always knew our Genie is the most reasonable and has the bearing of a future boss's wife. Of course, I trust your judgment. Since I'm leaving this place to you, and I'm tired today, I'll just clock off early and rest a bit. His gaze was doting, his face full of smiles. No rush, wait for me in the dressing room. I have a gift for you. Words that felt strangely familiar. I nodded and turned to walk toward the private dressing room at the end of the hall. Pushing the door open, I walked over and sat down on the sofa. Before I could even settle in, I heard a soft click from behind me. It was the sound of the door being locked. Too, I tried turning the doorknob, but it didn't budge. Outside the door came Gua Mingchu's gentle, soothing voice. Genie, you're the company's vice president. If you suppress Chui Nan, she definitely won't have a chance. Please bear with staying inside for now. Once Chui Nan's live stream is over, I'll let you out. I suppressed my anger and banged hard on the door. Gua Mingchu, open the door. I mean what I say. Since I agreed, I won't go back on my word. It fell silent outside for a moment, as if Gua Mingchu was considering whether to let me out. Immediately after, Chui Nan's timid voice sounded. President Gua, I'm so scared. Vice President Xia has always looked down on me. Could her agreement just be a delaying tactic? What if she bursts in while I'm live streaming? What a clever way to add fuel to the fire. Sure enough, as soon as she said that, Gua Mingchu immediately assured her with a pained heart, don't worry, as long as I'm here, she wouldn't dare. To put your mind at ease, I'll give you the key to keep. Without your agreement, she'll never get out in this lifetime. I heard the crisp sound of keys clinking, followed by Gua Mingchu's considerate voice. Xiaonan, today you're sure to make a name for yourself in one go. No one will ruin your chance. Leaning against the cold door panel, listening to their fading footsteps, my chest heaved violently. How ridiculous. In my past life, I desperately refused, and they locked me up. In this life, I willingly stepped aside, and they still locked me up. It turns out no matter what I choose, in their eyes, I am always that stumbling block that must be removed. This time, I will do as they wish and stay inside without coming out. I will sit right here and watch them fall apart with my own eyes. I symbolically raised my hand and knocked on the door, shouting twice in a moderate voice, Guoming-chu, you bastard, open the door. I pretended to collapse and slid to the floor, letting out a few suppressed sobs until no more noise could be heard. Then, I stood up and looked around this dressing room that was exclusively mine, which made me feel more at ease than any other corner of the company. It had a constant temperature air conditioner, a sofa with just the right firmness, and even a small refrigerator stocked with imported snacks and drinks. All of this was the dignity I had earned for myself through one live stream after another. I took a bottle of ice water from the refrigerator, opened a bag of potato chips, and settled comfortably into the sofa before pulling out my phone. First, I scrolled through short videos for a while to pass the time, estimating that the time was about right. I skillfully opened the live streaming app and searched for the company's official live stream room on the screen. The countdown was ticking away second by second. There were 5 minutes left until the start of the Zhou Fufu brand special live stream. As I looked at the live streaming room on the screen, arranged exactly as it was in my previous life, the smile at the corner of my mouth grew increasingly cold. I was eager to see how an intern with little live streaming experience and a company CEO who only knew how to talk theory could possibly achieve the tens of millions in sales stipulated in the contract. 3 At 8 o'clock in the evening, the live stream began on time. Using a secondary account, I entered the company's live streaming room. On screen, Cui Nan had already adjusted her expression and was smiling sweetly at the camera. She imitated my style, wearing the battle attire I had personally selected, and even her opening remarks to introduce the products were copied to perfection. Unfortunately, her attempt to mimic me fell short, like trying to draw a tiger but ending up with a dog, and she still lacked the necessary finesse. Just then, the camera conveniently zoomed in for a close-up. Cui Nan instinctively touched her neck, revealing the dazzling necklace that sparkled brilliantly under the lights. My pupils contracted. That was the haute couture jewelry set, Ocean Ripple, sponsored by Bulgari specifically for this collaboration to help me command the scene. It's a non-sale item from the brand now. It was lying perfectly against Cui Nan's neck. Cui Nan's smile was even more radiant. This Ocean Ripple set was specially secured for me by President Gua. He said only I am worthy of its brilliance. Anger surged within me. Instantly, I immediately called my assistant, my voice laced with fury. Where is my Bulgari jewelry set? On the other end of the phone, the assistant's voice sounded like she was about to cry. Mr. Xia, it was Mr. Gua. Mr. Gua personally came to ask for it. He said, you went home to rest, and that you agreed to let him take custody of the jewelry, so he came to pick it up. Got it. I was so angry I hung up the phone immediately. The brand lent it to me based on trust and respect, not as capital for him to use to promote a newcomer. If the brand were to pursue this, it would ruin the reputation I built up over many years. I immediately dialed Guoming-chu. No answer. I let out a cold laugh and opened the messaging interface. Guoming-chu, that haute couture jewelry set from Bazalong was designated for me by the brand. Cui Nan has no right to wear it. This is a serious breach of contract. Have her take it off immediately. The message was sent successfully, but it sank like a stone. Did he think playing dead would make it all go away? This is a live broadcast across the entire internet. The people at Bazalong can't possibly miss it. Then don't blame me for taking the initiative. I found a familiar number and dialed. The other party picked up immediately. On the other end was my best friend, Lin Hanqing, the president of Bazalong's China region. Suppressing the surging emotions, I explained the whole story from beginning to end as quickly as possible, and that's how it happened. They locked me in the dressing room, and now he's given ocean rhythms and overlapping waves to an intern. There was a full 3 seconds of silence on the other end of the line, followed by Lin Hanqing's cold laugh, barely suppressing her anger. Guoming-chu has really outdone himself. What does he think Bazalong is? Some cheap street vendor goods? What's the idea of handing over a finalized piece of jewelry for a complete amateur to wear? The authorization and insurance for this set were both signed under your name, Hanqing. I'm truly sorry about this. It's caused a negative impact for your brand. Alright, this isn't your fault. Lin Hanqing's tone softened. Your contract was finalized by me personally, and the person I signed was you, not her. Cui Nan, Hanqing, I also need to ask you for a favor. This is tricky. Haiyun Dailang is the headquarters. I'm not asking you to sweep it under the rug. I outlined the general plan to Lin Hanqing. He agreed without hesitation. Genie, just wait. I'll help with this. Sit back and enjoy the show. For sure enough, Lin Hanqing's efficiency was astonishingly fast. Before I could finish this bag of chips, my phone rang. The the screen flashing frantically with the characters Guamingchu. I answered but stayed silent, waiting quietly. Sure enough, his barely contained roar came through the line in the background. Chui Nan's faint sobs were also mixed in. Xie Genie, what on earth are you playing at? Someone from Baolong called me, saying they want to charge a daily rental fee for the Hyundai Lang, 3 million a day. Had they lost their minds? Wasn't it supposed to be a free sponsorship? I chuckled softly, the chips making a crisp crunch sound in my mouth. It's sponsored to me, for free. I kindly reminded him, after all, my name and this face are still worth something in the industry. But on Chui Nan, who is she? Why would Bulgari provide high-end custom jewelry for free to an intern who's practically a nobody? Guamingchu was left speechless by my retort for a long moment, then switched to a tone of entitlement. It's just a set of jewelry, wearing it won't break it. We're all family here. Why are you drawing such clear lines? Now you remember we're family. When you locked me in the dressing room, why didn't you think of us as family then? Xie Genie. Chui Nan was also acting in the company's best interest. Do you really want to humiliate her in front of the entire internet right now? He was still making excuses, still trying to use the company and the bigger picture to pressure me. You need to explain things to the brand immediately and tell them not to make a mountain out of a molehill. I can't explain it. I took a sip of ice water and scoffed. What should I say? That my dear fiancé, to show off for his new flame, stole my exclusive sponsorship and locked me up like a prisoner. Guamingchu, do you think the legal department at Baozalong will choose to let it slide, or will they send a lawyer's letter straight to the company, suing you for commercial fraud? He was left speechless by my words. Oh, no, you personally retrieved the jewelry from the assistant, and you allowed unauthorized individuals, other than the designated wearer, to wear the jewelry, leading to the current consequences. Therefore, it is you, Mr. Gua, who is being sued in court. Xie Genie. He finally snapped in anger. How have you become so unreasonable? Now, do you know this money has to come from the company's account? It's all the company's money being spent. How can you be so wasteful? The curve of my lips widened further, a hint of mockery in my voice. Oh, Mr. Gua, so now you finally care about the company's money. Then tell me, who exactly is this money being spent for? You wait. He viciously spat out those words and hung up the phone. I knew he would pay, compared to 3 million, losing all face in front of the entire internet and the whole industry is what he absolutely cannot bear. Sure enough, just as I put down my phone, I heard a series of steady and orderly footsteps coming from outside the hallway. They didn't sound like company employees, but rather, well-trained security personnel. Immediately after, the door to my dressing room was knocked on. Knock, knock, knock. 3 knocks, neither too light nor too heavy, executed with great precision. President Xia, are you in there? Came an unfamiliar male voice, calm and professional. We are from the Brand Risk Control Department of Baosilong, here on President Lin's orders to handle the on-site breach of contract matter. I raised an eyebrow but remained silent. The person outside seemed to know I was locked in. After a brief pause, footsteps headed toward the direction of the live streaming room. The show is about to begin. I called my assistant and asked her to start a video call with me on her phone. 5. Several men in crisp black suits and white gloves stood expressionlessly in the center of the live streaming room, their imposing presence starkly out of place against the surrounding set. The man at the front, who appeared to be a manager, looked calmly at Guamingchu. Guamingchu forced himself to maintain his boss-like demeanor, taking a step forward, his voice shaky. Gentlemen, we're in the middle of a live stream. Could we discuss any matters after the broadcast concludes? The manager, neither subservient nor arrogant, presented his employee badge to Guamingchu. Mr. Gua, hello, we are from the Brand Risk Control Department of Baozilong. We are here to retrieve the ocean rhythm's overlapping waves. The smile on Guamingchu's face froze. He clearly hadn't expected Baosilong to arrive so quickly and with such a large entourage. Sir, perhaps there's some misunderstanding. He tried to step forward and strike up a friendly conversation. We've already paid 3 million in rental fees. That fee was for the period during which she was already wearing the ocean rhythm overlapping waves. It was mandatory, however, based on our assessment. Miss Chui is not suitable to continue wearing it. The manager's gaze finally fell on Chui Nan, displayed on the large screen beside them, his tone still flat. Mr. Gua, our jewelry is only lent to top-tier A-list celebrities or distinguished guests with corresponding social status. This young lady's image and qualifications do not meet the criteria for wearing our brand's haute couture jewelry. Frankly speaking, her wearing it only lowers the prestige of our brand. We are under orders to retrieve the jewelry immediately. Guamingchu's face turned ugly. Chui Nan is a key trainee our company is nurturing. this livestream is very important for her. Could you make an exception and wait until after the livestream ends? No, the manager cut him off bluntly, his gaze sweeping over the bodyguards nearby. If you do not cooperate, we will have no choice but to proceed with the standard procedure and retrieve it by force. Gua. Mingchu's face flushed and paled alternately. He wanted to flare up, but the sight of the several bodyguards standing behind the other party made him swallow his words. He could only suppress his anger, signal to the director to pause the livestream, and then called Cui Nan out. At the mention of taking away the jewelry, Cui Nan's face instantly drained of color. She let out a sharp scream, clutching the necklace around her neck with both hands. No, I won't take it off. Sobbing, she threw herself into Gua Mingchu's arms, tears falling like broken strings of pearls. Mr. Gua, please help me. You were the one who put this on me yourself. Can't you just buy them? I'm begging you. She desperately covered her neck and ears, refusing to take off the set of jewelry no matter what. Moved by her tears, Gua Mingchu softened. He looked at the manager and asked with forced courage, "It's just a set of jewelry, isn't it? Name your price, I'll buy it." As soon as these words were spoken, even the surrounding staff cast strange glances. The manager's lips curled into a faint, almost imperceptible arc. "Sir, are you certain you wish to purchase it? Oceanic Ripples is not for sale. It is art. If one must measure its value in monetary terms, it would be approximately 300 million. 300 million. Gua Mingchu's eyes widened in shock. The manager glanced at him and then, with deliberate slowness, added another blow. "Oh, I almost forgot to mention, even if you had that sum, according to our brand's regulations, you would not qualify to purchase it. Clients for Bazelong's haute couture jewelry must undergo a pre-qualification of assets. The total personal assets under one's name must not be less than 5 billion. At this moment, Gua Mingchu's face turned completely ashen. The staff from Bulgari had lost all patience and stepped forward directly. "No, don't come any closer," Cui Nan screamed, retreating and struggling desperately. This time, Gua Mingchu did not shield her anymore. He even stepped forward himself, firmly grabbing Cui Nan's wildly flailing arm, his tone unprecedentedly stern. "Cui Nan, stop this nonsense. Take them off and return them immediately." The Bulgari staff acted with professional swiftness, unfastening the necklace clasp and removing the earrings within seconds, carefully placing them back into the velvet box. As soon as the jewelry was removed, Cui Nan collapsed to the floor, weeping uncontrollably. "It's all Xie Jini. She must be behind this. She's just jealous that I replaced her and deliberately set me up. Mr. Gua, how can I go live tonight? I'll be laughed to death." Gua Mingchu fumbled to help her up, muttering words of comfort, but the looks from the other employees nearby had already grown quite strange. 6. A message from her best friend Lin Hanqing popped up, a photo with a line of text. In the photo, Cui Nan's eyes were red, her makeup half cried off, looking utterly disheveled, "Took the jewelry, and snapped a souvenir photo for you while I was at it. I can't stand the hypocritical act of a mistress." I replied with a thanks, and looking at the pitiful expression on Cui Nan's face in the photo, the pent-up anger in my heart finally eased a bit. I reopened the live stream, curious to see how they would wrap things up without the high-end jewelry to anchor the show. Cui Nan had already fixed her makeup and was now stumbling through the product introduction, reading from the script I had personally written. Even the most prestigious brands sounded utterly bland when described by her. On the screen, purchase notifications only popped up occasionally. Today's live stream was so deserted it felt chilling. Even when I casually went live on a normal day, the turnover easily exceeded tens of millions. But now, the numbers on the screen had barely climbed to 300,000. This wasn't even enough to cover the loose change from my usual broadcasts. I scoffed. "With skills like that, you think you can replace me? Dream on." Just as I was about to end the live stream, the sales figures on the screen began to skyrocket. 10 orders, 20 orders, 30 orders, purchase notifications kept flashing. In just a few minutes, the number soared from 300,000 to 5 million. My phone also started vibrating incessantly, with WeChat messages popping up one after another. "Jeannie, tonight's sales are incredible. Jeannie, I'll always support you. Sister E is awesome, always supporting you." I furrowed my brow tightly, my hands trembling slightly. I didn't stream at all today. Who are they supporting? I opened the messages, and each one had a shopping screenshot attached below it. A sense of foreboding rose in my heart. I found the latest message, sent by my longtime friend Zhou Shuren, and directly called him. "What's going on?" Hearing my voice, Zhou Shuren was also confused. "What else could it be? You're Mr. Gua just created a big group chat, saying your livestream tonight was very important and asked us all to help boost the sales with our Relationship, how could we not help you? I couldn't hear another word after that. Guomingchu, how dare he make my family and friends boost Chui Nan's sales? A surge of rage shot straight to the top of my head, and I trembled with anger. I almost immediately dialed Guomingchu's number. He answered, his tone laced with impatience. What is it, Guomingchu? Are you out of your mind? I couldn't hold back and cursed out loud, my chest heaving violently. Why did you ask my family and friends to boost Chui Nan's sales? Do you know what you're doing? There was a few seconds of silence from his end, and then he raised his voice too. What's wrong with boosting sales? The sales are for the company, and the company is ours together. The money they spend on boosting sales, the company earns it, and in the end, it's still ours, isn't it? Your friends and family aren't short of this little bit of money, and they can return the items after buying them. Why are you reacting so strongly? He retorted. Righteously, as if I were the one being unreasonable. You're exploiting my goodwill and trampling on my hard work. What's yours and mine? Doesn't the company have a share of mine? He was completely agitated and shouted, banging on the table, Xie Jini, let me tell you, you're just too selfish. You can't stand to see others do well. You can't stand to see the company do well. You don't take our future seriously at all. Reflect on your actions, otherwise, don't even think about getting married. After saying that, he angrily hung up the phone. I was so angry I was trembling all over. I tried calling again, but found I couldn't get through at all. 7. I directly messaged Zhou Xian and asked him to add me to Guomingchu's group for boosting sales. He replied almost instantly, and a group chat invitation popped up. The group name was eye-catching, Genie Friends and Family. Everyone welcomed my addition and wished me a prosperous career. Seeing my family and friends, who genuinely care about me, being scammed, I could no longer contain my anger. I directly sent a voice message in the group chat. Hello everyone, I am Xie Jini. I am not live streaming tonight, so there's no need for you to place any more orders. The group chat instantly fell silent, followed by a flurry of question marks and emojis. When I used to live stream, I never asked you to place fake orders, as I didn't want you to buy things you don't need just because of me. I appreciate your support, but it's your hard-earned money, and there's no need to do this. The group chat exploded. Not Genie. Then who is it? General Manager Guo pulled us in to boost your sales. I thought it was some important event. Immediately, a screenshot of the live broadcast room was thrown out. In the center of the screen, it was Chui Nan. Who is this? A newcomer? What's her relationship with Guomingchu? Why is he so attentive to her? Is there some misunderstanding? Discussions arose, and all arrows pointed to the same person. Guomingchu finally couldn't sit still and quickly jumped out to speak. Everyone, this is our company's newly signed streamer, Chui Nan, a newcomer with great potential. Tonight is her first live stream, and I thought since we're all friends, I'd help her boost her popularity. Please show her some support. Keep placing orders. Consider it doing me a favor. After he finished, he added a fist and palm salute emoji. No one replied in the group chat. Everyone here is my friend. Not a fool. I myself have said that there's no need to place orders, yet he's still urging us to do so. The trickery involved is obvious to anyone with discerning eyes. They were all deceived by him before, thinking they were helping me, who would help a stranger. He was left there, ignored by all my friends. A few seconds later, a message popped up abruptly, from Guomingchu, a bunch of paupers. If you can't afford it, forget it. Immediately after, a system prompt appeared in the center of the screen. Genie's friends and family group has been disbanded by the group owner. He must have regretted it after sending it, or perhaps he was afraid of being blamed by everyone, so he simply covered his tracks. But that sentence had already been clearly imprinted in everyone's minds. I was furious. What a Guomingchu really thought he was someone important. 8. It wasn't long before the dressing room door opened. Guomingchu was standing at the door, which surprised me. I thought he would make me stay here overnight and had almost prepared to sleep on the floor. He walked in, his chin slightly raised, and said to me in a condescending tone, "Alright, you don't want Chui Nan to broadcast, right? Now I'm letting you broadcast. Hurry up and get ready." I stopped playing Candy Crush and raised an eyebrow. "Let me broadcast, Mr. Gua. Are you begging me or informing me?" Before, he insisted on Chui Nan broadcasting when I didn't want him to. Now that Chui Nan has messed up the live stream, he wants me to bail him out. Do I look like an idiot? I said I wouldn't fight her for it, and I meant it. I will absolutely not interfere with this live stream. Guomingchu's tone immediately softened, and he put on an expression of humble concession. "Genie, I know you're upset, jealous. My relationship with her is purely professional. Don't overthink it. I'll definitely keep my distance from her in the future, okay?" He tried to take my hand. "Don't be petty. Let's focus on the bigger picture." Alright, I ignored him, unlocked my phone, and started the next level of Candy Crush. I just want to sit in here and refuse to leave. Guomingchu's patience ran out completely, and he reached out to grab my arm. Xie Genie, can't you understand human language? His grip was strong, and my wrist hurt from the pressure. I violently shook him off and slapped him back. Slap. The entire dressing room fell silent. Guomingchu stood frozen, covering his face. At this moment, Cui Nan rushed in, her eyes red. She immediately touched Guomingchu's face with concern. Her voice choked with tears. Sister Genie, why are you so rough? She turned her head and looked at me pitifully. Don't blame Mr. Gua. It's all my fault. I wasn't careful about my distance from Mr. Gua and made you angry. I'll resign tomorrow. Please don't argue because of me. Okay, her acting was so good. It would be a shame if she didn't win an Oscar. I sneered. What? You messed up the live broadcast today. And tomorrow you'll just pack up and leave without taking any responsibility. That's quite a plan. Cui Nan's face turned pale, and she swayed as if about to fall, her tears falling even more fiercely. How could you? How could you think of me like this? I'm truly doing this for your own good. Sister Genie, you should go live quickly. Put the bigger picture first. The company can't do without you, and neither can Director Gua. I couldn't be bothered to watch her act anymore and reached out to push her aside. She then leaned back, her back hitting the corner of the nearby table with a dull thud. She lay on the ground, crying even harder, muttering, "It's not your fault, not Sister Genie's fault. If hitting me can make you feel better." Guomingchu's eyes turned red with heartache as he pointed at my nose and cursed, "Xie Genie, are you fucking crazy, you ungrateful bitch? I'm so angry I could laugh. Since I've already earned this bad reputation, I'll show you what it truly means to fight." I walked up, grabbed Cui Nan by the collar, yanked her up, and slapped her back and forth. Slap, slap. After 2 loud slaps, I told her loudly, "This is how I fight." Guomingchu knew I had practiced Tai Chi since I was young. In a fight, the two of them combined couldn't beat me. He could only point at me and roar, his finger trembling. "Madwoman, you crazy woman, this wedding is off. We're breaking up. This is absolutely wonderful. The best news I've received all day." I burst out laughing with joy. Guomingchu was so angry he stomped his feet. He scooped up Cui Nan, who was still sobbing, and walked out without looking back. 9. Guomingchu held Cui Nan, his posture resolute, acting out a scene of defying the world for love. But before he could even exit the office door, the phone rang. Guomingchu frowned as he answered, his face still showing traces of anger. "Mr. Gua, the livestream was a disaster. What do you say?" It was Zhou Fufu's boss calling, and he was furious on the phone. Guomingchu subconsciously wanted to shift the blame to me. "Mr. Zhou, this was an accident. It's all Xie Genie's fault. I don't care whose fault it is." Mr. Zhou interrupted him. "The contract clearly states that if sales targets are not met, there will be a tenfold compensation, 500 million, to be transferred to the company's account within 3 days. Otherwise, I'll see you in court." The phone call ended, and the color drained completely from Guomingchu's face. He froze, and Cui Nan, who was frail and unable to care for herself in his arms, almost fell to the ground. 500 million. He seemed to have been stimulated, his pupils dilated. He shoved Cui Nan away violently and scrambled back to me, his expression panicked. It was Zhou Fufu on the phone. "He wants us to pay 500 million. I took a small sip of water, smiling at him. I held the water cup, blew on it gently, too lazy to even lift my eyelids. "Oh, so you'll pay for it then? Pay for it? Easy for you to say." Guomingchu snatched the water cup from my hand and smashed it hard on the ground, sending water and glass shards flying everywhere. "That's 500 million. Our company's annual revenue is less than 100 million. He gripped my arm tightly. "Genie, I know you must have a way, right? Quickly tell Zhou Fufu that we didn't do it on purpose and ask him to give us another chance." Cui Nan also reacted and quickly chimed in, her voice returning to its familiar tearful tone. "That's right. Sister Genie, you and President Zhou are so close. If you beg him, he'll surely do it for your sake." My reputation. I shook off Guomingchu's hand. "Guomingchu, have you forgotten that you signed the contract for this livestream? Everyone in the industry knows about Zhou Fufu's gambling contract. Sales of 50 million yuan is considered meeting the target, with a bonus for any amount over, and 10 times the compensation for any amount short. When I usually stream, 50 million is my baseline, so you were in a hurry to sign the contract as soon as you saw it, without even looking at the compensation clauses, right? Also, you signed the contract, and you chose the streamer. Furthermore, the contract didn't specify that I, Xie Genie, had to stream. The streamer is Cui Nan, and the signatory is you, Guomingchu." I spread my hands. "What does this 500 million have to do with me?" He collapsed onto the ground, his lips trembling, his face ashen. A few seconds later, He suddenly turned around, his bloodshot eyes staring intently at Chui Nan. It's all you. It's all your fault, you bitch. You insisted on snatching this live stream. Now look, 500 million, you're going to ruin the company. Chui Nan was stunned by his scolding and burst into tears, feeling wronged. Mr. Gua, you begged me to do it at first, saying this live stream would make me an overnight sensation. How was I supposed to know it would turn out like this? Now that it's a mess, how can you blame me? You know my capabilities. I haven't become famous either, so we're even. This sentence completely enraged Gua Mingchu. He raised his hand and slapped Chui Nan hard across the face. Slap. The crisp sound echoed in the office. Chui Nan's head was turned by the blow, and in the next second, a hint of venom flashed in her eyes. Yet, with red eyes, she still clung to Gua Mingchu's leg. Mr. Gua, the live stream is ruined now, and my reputation is definitely in tatters. I'm a victim too. Gua Mingchu, too annoyed to listen to her nonsense, kicked her again. If it weren't for you, you damn bitch, seducing me and insisting you could handle it, how could I have lost my head, you bitch? Chui Nan was in so much pain that she could no longer pretend. Her face contorted, and she lunged forward to tear at Gua Mingchu's hair. Gua Mingchu, you useless piece of trash, it's your own fault for being incompetent. Why are you hitting me? What about the resources you promised me? What about you promising to let me replace Xia Genie? It was all bullshit. The two instantly started fighting, one pulling hair, the other tearing clothes, all while spewing obscenities. The scene was utterly disgraceful. I took 2 steps back, avoiding the farce, and picked up my bag. My phone vibrated just then. It was a message from my lawyer. Miss Xia, all the procedures for the transfer of shares and assets have been prepared. Very good. It's time to take back everything that is mine. 10 later. I cleanly divided all the assets that belonged to me, and, with my core team, decisively established a new company. Within half a year, the new company, relying on its excellent service and my reputation, quickly established a foothold in the industry, and orders poured in, and Gua Mingchu's company, as I expected, went bankrupt. The 500 million yuan gambling agreement shattered him after the company's liquidation. It was only worth 50 million. He sold his house and car, but still couldn't fill the huge hole, and was directly sued in court by Zhou Fufu. Finally, he came to me. I had just finished an important meeting that day and was walking downstairs at the new company when I was stopped by a figure. The man was wearing a wrinkled shirt, had a stubble, his hair was so greasy it could be used for frying, and he exuded a decadent sour smell. I looked for 2 seconds before recognizing him as Gua Mingchu. Genie. He lunged forward, trying to grab my hand, but was expressionlessly stopped by my bodyguard. He didn't care about his dignity and cried out to me from behind the bodyguard. Genie, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Help me. For the sake of our past relationship, you can't be so heartless. I stopped and looked at him with great interest. Do we still have any affection? He was stunned for a moment, then nodded frantically. Yes, of course. It was my foolishness. I was deceived by that bitch Chui Nan. As long as you help me pay off the debt, I'll do whatever you say. I'll give the company back to you, and I'll be your slave. He knelt down with a thud. I snorted coldly. Mr. Gua, we've already broken up. Have you forgotten? He was stunned, clearly not expecting me to address him that way. The debt you owe has nothing to do with me. Now you come to me. Why do you think I would bend down and pick up the trash you threw away? I turned and got back in the car, too lazy to look at him again. In the rearview mirror, I saw him collapse onto the ground, like a stray dog wailing. This was the last time he appeared before me. Later, I heard from friends in the circle that he was unable to repay his huge debts, was forcibly executed by the court, became a defaulter, and ended up on the streets. Someone saw a crazy person picking up scraps under a flyover, constantly muttering 500 million, it's all your fault. He tightly clutched a fake jewelry necklace he'd found in the trash, telling everyone he met, this is the sea rhyme waves, worth 300 million. As for Chui Nan, she truly lived up to Gua Mingchu's words and became an overnight sensation, albeit a notorious one. With her poor professional skills and the mistress halo, she became infamous in the industry. No reputable company dared to hire her. She couldn't even find a job. I heard she couldn't make it in China and went abroad a while ago. My assistant, Xiao Chen, was browsing gossip forums and suddenly exclaimed, handing me her phone, Mr. Xia, look at this. Is that her? It was a blurry screenshot. The cover of a video leaked from some Thai dark web. A heavily made-up woman was smiling flirtatiously at the camera. There were indeed some resemblances to Chui Nan in her eyes and brows. True or false? No one cared anymore. I closed the page and smiled confidently. Get ready. We'll start broadcasting in 5 minutes. In the brightly lit studio, all equipment was in place, and the team was performing their duties in an orderly fashion. I sat in front of the camera, and the fill light turned on, casting a soft glow on my face. Hello everyone, I am Sia Genie, long time no see, end of. Full text. The first story ends here. Don't go away. The next story is even more exciting. After my husband passed away, he left all his inheritance to his first love. Only then did I realize they had an 18-year-old child, but I, who had been used as a guinea pig to test drugs by him for 18 years, was diagnosed with cancer. I died on the street with no money for treatment. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the time when he had just agreed to marry me. A cold voice came from the other end of the phone. Song Sherway, I've already agreed to Mom and Dad's request to marry you. The wedding is set for 3 days from now. Are you satisfied now? The scene of being tormented by cancer in my previous life and dying miserably on the street is still vivid in my mind. I quickly changed my words. No need, you don't have to marry me anymore. Let's break off the engagement. The person on the other end of the phone was stunned for a few seconds, and then a cold snort came. Song Sherway, playing hard to get too many times is no longer interesting. Who doesn't know that your lifelong wish has been to marry me? I wanted to explain. This time it's for real. Lu Jingchuan interrupted me impatiently. Enough, hurry up and sell that old house of your parents, and transfer the money to me. I need to develop a new drug. By the time I wanted to speak again, the call had already been hung up. The heartache and pain of my previous 18 years surged up at this moment. I clutched my chest tightly, gasping for air. I used to believe that Lu Jingchuan and I were in love, but later I found out he was only with me because the money my parents left me could be used for his research. Lu Jingchuan thought I was using money to force him into marriage, so after my death, he wouldn't even leave me a cent, leaving me unburied even in death. Since I have a second chance at life, I won't repeat the same mistakes. I drove back to the Lu family's house and told my aunt and uncle that I wanted to break off the engagement. Aunt Lu watched me grow up and felt it was a pity. Wei, did that brat Jingchuan bully you? And Aunt will teach him a lesson for you. I shook my head. Lu Jingchuan has someone he likes in his heart, and I don't want to marry him and waste the rest of my life. As for the wedding, let it be changed to his and Joey's. Consider it a surprise for him. Seeing my firm attitude, Aunt Lu stopped persuading me. She held my hand and said with concern, then from now on, you will be Jingchuan's sister and live with us. Aunt can take care of you. No need, Aunt Lu, I have my own things I want to do. Just now, I have applied to join the Teachers Drug Research Institute. With my past life's experience and financial support, I am confident that I can do better than Lu Jingchuan. After finishing my chat with Aunt Lu, I had just stepped out the door when I received a message from Lu Jingchuan. Wangjiang Pavilion, room 303. It was the private room we often frequented for gatherings within our circle. I scrolled through the message history. It was almost always me sending dozens or hundreds of messages, only for him to perfunctorily reply with a few sentences. Thinking that I would soon be leaving this place, I didn't refuse, considering it a farewell to my friends. By the time I arrived at the private room, everyone was already there. They tacitly left the seat next to Lu Jingchuan for me. Sister, why are you so late? You made everyone wait for so long. Joey pouted and whimpered in Lu Jingchuan's arms. Such intimate gestures, and they were doing it in front of me, his fiancée. I've made noodles countless times. I looked at the leftover bones on her plate and sneered. You seem to have eaten quite a lot. Joey's face immediately turned red, as if she had suffered a great injustice, and tears began to fall. Seeing this, Lu Jingchuan glared at me impatiently. Song Sherway, what are you saying? E is just a child, and when she can't wait, she has to eat first. I think you've really gotten more irritable with age. Joey is only 2 years younger than me, but in his eyes, she's a child. I remembered that Lu Jingchuan said the same thing the first time I met her. Joey was a student Lu Jingchuan sponsored, her grades were poor and she was unmotivated, yet Lu Jingchuan still sent her 20,000 yuan every month, and I, his actual girlfriend, never even received a single bouquet of flowers. Whatever I had, Joey would have it too, and it would be even better than mine. I was often jealous because of her, but Lu Jingchuan would scold me for being petty. E is just a child, why are you arguing with her? I sponsored her, so of course I have to give her the best. In my past life, under his constant brainwashing, I also doubted my own generosity, but thinking about it now, this wasn't sponsorship at all, it was clearly keeping her to ease the atmosphere. A friend stood up to pour wine for us. When it was Joey's turn, Lu Jingchuan quickly blocked it with his hand. E can't drink alcohol. The friend was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, no way, Jingchuan, you're being too protective of your little girl. It's just a glass of wine. It's very low in alcohol. Joey playfully stuck out her tongue. Brother said that children can't drink alcohol. I felt something was wrong and put a crab into her bowl. doesn't he like seafood the most? Lu Jingchuan impatiently took the crab out and said to me impatiently, "He can't eat seafood." Zhou, who usually loved seafood the most, didn't even touch it now. I looked at her slightly bulging belly and my heart grew colder and colder. So Zhou was already pregnant at this time. No wonder Lu Jingchuan, who refused my marriage proposals countless times in my previous life, suddenly agreed. He was afraid that once Zhou's belly grew, I would notice something was wrong. And he wouldn't be able to get the inheritance my parents left me. My grip on the wine glass tightened, so. Every day of my married life was spent in betrayal. I remembered when Lu Jingchuan and I first started our business. I was also pregnant, but he forced me to drink 10 bottles of high-proof liquor for a business dinner, causing me to miscarry on the spot. On the way to the hospital, he was still blaming me. "It's your fault. Can't you even hold your blood during a miscarriage? You've embarrassed me." So he knew how to care for pregnant women. He just didn't care about me. I sighed and downed the wine in my hand in one gulp, considering it a farewell to past foolishness. The meal was as tasteless as chewing wax. Zhou burped and clutched her stomach, acting spoiled. "Brother Jingchuan, my stomach feels a bit uncomfortable. Didn't you just develop a new capsule?" Lu Jingchuan pinched her nose. "You little glutton, is medicine something you can just eat randomly?" I glanced at him. So he knew that medicine shouldn't be taken randomly, yet after we got married, he constantly treated me as a test subject. As long as there was a new product, he'd have me try the medicine and record all the bodily reactions. As a result, I was riddled with illnesses. The side effects caused me daily headaches and stomach aches, making it difficult to even walk. After the meal, they clamored to play truth or dare, and the beer bottle pointed directly at Zhou. Zhou chose dare, and her friends immediately egged her on. "Isn't Valentine's Day in a few days? Do you dare to play big? Choose someone present to get a marriage certificate." "I'll do it." "Isn't this playing too big?" No, change it." Zhou blushed and looked at Lu Jingchuan, and said softly, "Brother Jingchuan, is it okay?" Lu Jingchuan subconsciously glanced at me, and I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Zhou clasped her hands together and looked at me for help. "Is it okay, Sister Shui? It's just getting a certificate. We can still divorce anyway." "But I don't want to be told that I can't handle it," I said earnestly. "Why ask me? If you want to get married, then get married. What does it have to do with me?" After speaking, I got up to leave. Lu Jingchuan grabbed my wrist and said in a low voice, "Song Shui." His slightly furrowed brow showed a hint of displeasure. I raised my eyebrows and shook off his hand. "I have other things to do. You guys have fun." Not long after I left, I saw Zhou's moments. She posted a marriage certificate with her and Lu Jingchuan's photos on it. "Officially certified. P.S. My husband took me to buy this diamond ring. It's 5.2 carats." In the comments section, she was being sentimental. I always envied others for having a complete family when I was little. Fortunately, I have one now. "Thank you, love." I couldn't help but comment, "May you have 100 years of happy marriage. Lock it down." I didn't watch the rest and rushed home to start packing. This is the old house my parents left me. The land was coveted by a developer who bought it for 10 million yuan, which is why Lu Jingchuan is so interested. After packing, I fell asleep. The next day, I woke up and called a moving company to move these dozen boxes. Lu Jingchuan, however, arrived. His face was grim, and he tightly gripped my wrist. "Why didn't you reply to my messages? Why didn't you answer my calls?" Not long after I commented, Lu Jingchuan sent me a message, explaining that the moments was fake. But in fact, I didn't care at all. "I don't care," I casually replied. I was too tired from packing and fell asleep. Lu Jingchuan then noticed the piles of boxes in the living room. He breathed a sigh of relief, a smile unconsciously tugging at the corner of his lips. "Song Shui, are you this eager to move into my place?" I frowned, about to deny it, but he chuckled, playing dead. "Huh, you said yesterday you wouldn't marry me, and today you've already packed everything." I was so angry I laughed, and retorted, "Didn't you already get your marriage certificate with Zhou? Are you jealous?" Lu Jingchuan, uncharacteristically, explained to me, "It was just a joke. At worst, I'll take her in a couple of days." Left looking at him like this, I felt so disgusted I wanted to vomit. "Do you not find what you're saying laughable? The wedding is in a few days, and divorce takes at least 30 days. Lu Jingchuan's patience ran out. He lowered his face and said, "Song Shui, who are you putting on a show for? It's just a marriage certificate. It's an empty shell and the title isn't important. Who doesn't know we've been a couple for so long?" I was truly astonished that Lu Jingchuan could say such a shameless thing. Seeing my expression worsen, Lu Jingchuan condescendingly took a bracelet out of his pocket and threw it at my face. "A gift for you. Wear it. It's a plastic bracelet, with a cheap feel that hits you right away. The fake diamonds on it are already peeling, and I can't help but sneer. For Zhou, when it comes to buying for her, It's a 5-2-carat diamond ring. But for me, it's junk. I threw the bracelet at him. Doesn't it have Zhou Yi's name engraved on it? Why are you giving it to me? I'm not a junk collector. Lu Jingchuan was furious. He carefully put the bracelet away. Are you sick? Song Shiwei, Yi made this for you herself to apologize. She made it for me and engraved her own name on it. She made it for me and engraved her own name on it. Lu Jingchuan choked and said irritably, isn't the thought enough? She's just a child. Why are you arguing with her? Is Zhou Yi still a child? She's clearly already carrying a child. I took a deep breath, wanting to explain things to him, but his phone kept ringing, the distinctive ringtone of Zhou Yi even without the speakerphone on. That affected voice reached my ears. Brother, the baby is kicking me in the belly. I'm so scared. Lu Jingchuan glanced at me nervously, seeing that I didn't react. He turned and rushed out the door without looking back. Soon, Zhou Yi updated her social media again with a prenatal checkup report. Even if I were foolish, I would know this was only for me to see. I ignored it, and she sent me another message. Song Shiwei, stop pretending, you saw my moments, right? I'm pregnant with Jingchuan Gige's child. If you still have any shame, get lost. If you still have any shame, get lost, I said concisely. Then I wish you happiness. I don't know which nerve of Zhou Yi's this statement touched, because she immediately exploded. Your passive aggression is useless. Don't think that by playing hard to get every day and pretending not to care, you can make Jingchuan Gige like you. In his eyes, you're just a dog he can't get rid of. I am his lover. Don't think that by playing hard to get every day and pretending not to care, you can make Jingchuan Gige like you. In his eyes, you're just a dog he can't get rid of. I am his lover. I am his lover. She's acting like a lunatic. I can't be bothered to deal with her. So I deleted and blocked her in one go. After tidying up the house, I drove to the bridal shop. My mother designed a wedding dress for me before she passed away, to wear it for my wedding. I sent it to the bridal shop for alterations early on. Although I no longer plan to get married, I still want to take the wedding dress my mother left me. But when I asked the shop owner for the wedding dress, she told me, this wedding dress was just picked up by someone. Alarm bells went off in my head, and I immediately called Lu Jingchuan. It took over 10 tries for him to answer, and the background noise on the other end was very chaotic. Lu Jingchuan, did you take my mother's wedding dress? Lu Jingchuan stammered, what wedding dress? I don't know what you're talking about. Before I could ask further, he hung up the phone. Following the GPS, I arrived at an open-air garden. Zhou Yi was wearing my wedding dress and posing for photos on Lu Jingchuan's shoulders. The originally pure white and exquisite wedding dress was now stained with mud and had several tears. Seeing me arrive, Lu Jingchuan quickly took Zhou Yi down and held her protectively. I was furious and rushed over to snatch the wedding dress, but Lu Jingchuan shoved me hard. Are you crazy? Yi and I are just going through the motions. It's not a real wedding. Why are you making a scene? The child has a wedding dress dream. Can't you, as an elder sister-in-law, fulfill it? My face turned red with anger. Do whatever you want. But who gave you permission to touch what my mother left me? Lu Jingchuan's face flashed with guilt, but he still shielded Zhou Yi behind him. I took the child to pick out bridesmaid dresses today. She took a fancy to this wedding dress of yours, so I thought I'd lend it to her to play with, just as a trial run for you. Why are you so angry? Song Shiwei, if you keep being so petty, I'll have to reconsider the marriage. Lu Jingchuan's eyes were full of determination. He thought that threatening me with marriage would make me compromise, as in his eyes, marrying him was my lifelong pursuit. My tears welled up in my eyes. I never intended to marry you in the first place. Seeing me cry, Lu Jingchuan panicked a little. He was about to speak, but Zhou Yi behind him started crying. Here you go, Sister Shiwei, I'll give it back to you. Please don't argue with Brother Jingchuan because of me. Zhou Yi cried as she frantically took off her wedding dress. The once beautiful dress was torn into 2 pieces by her violent actions and thrown onto the muddy ground. Still wet from the rain, my heart clenched, and I rushed over to tightly embrace the wedding dress. Lu Jingchuan, his face full of heartache, held Zhou Yi in his arms, then raised his hand and slapped me across the face. His eyes suppressed a fiery rage as he pointed at my face and said, it's just a ruined wedding dress. Why do you have to make such a fuss? So what if I give it to Yi as a gift? You had to force her to take off her clothes in front of everyone. I've told you countless times. Yi is just a child, don't argue with her, but you just won't listen. Looking at the unrecognizable wedding dress on the ground, my heart ached so much that it felt like it would shatter. A buzzing sound filled my ears, and I couldn't even hear what Lu Jingchuan was saying. I felt a huge gash open in my heart, with cold wind whistling in, chilling me to the bone. Seeing my heartbroken state, Lu Jingchuan suppressed his anger and tried to pull me up, but Zhou Yi suddenly fell to the Ground with a thud, Lu Jingchuan picked her up without hesitation and carried her away without looking back. I sent the wedding dress for cleaning and breathed a sigh of relief only after contacting a master who confirmed it could be repaired. After a busy day, I opened my phone to find several messages from Lu Jingchuan. I will prepare a new wedding dress for you, but to compensate, her bridesmaid dress on the wedding day must be better than yours. Look, and the veil must be put on her too. As for you, you must apologize to in front of all the guests, otherwise I won't exchange rings with you. I responded and didn't explain to him. Anyway, he would know the truth when he saw the bride on the wedding day. That night, I took a plane to Haicheng, the place that once made me incredibly attached to. Now leaving, I actually felt exceptionally relaxed. On the morning of the wedding, Lu Jingchuan almost blew up my phone, but no one answered. He found Aunt Lu and said anxiously, "Mom, I can't get in touch with Sherwei. How can the wedding start if she doesn't come?" Aunt Lu looked at him in shock. "Sherwei left yesterday. Today's wedding is between you and Joey. Don't you know? My wedding with Joey. How come I don't know about it?" Lu Jingchuan then noticed that the wedding screen was displaying photos of him and Joey. Aunt Lu patiently explained, "These were all Sherwei's ideas. She said she knew you liked Joey, so she specially prepared this for you. It's a surprise." Lu Jingchuan's eyes turned red, and he couldn't help but roar. "How could you not inform me about such a big event?" Aunt Lu was a bit bewildered. She glared at Lu Jingchuan. "Anyway, I heard you two already got your marriage certificate, and she's dressed like a bride today. What difference does it make whether you were informed or not?" Lu Jingchuan only then belatedly realized that what I had said these past few days about not marrying him was true. He snatched the red flower from his chest and was about to look for me, but was stopped by Joey, who was exquisitely dressed in a haute couture wedding dress at the door. "Where are you going, brother Jingchuan?" Seeing Joey dressed like this, Lu Jingchuan was displeased. "The bride today is Sherwei, not you. Who allowed you to dress up like this?" Joey looked at him in disbelief, tears welling up in her eyes. "Didn't you tell me to wear a wedding dress and be a bridesmaid? You said this would be like having a wedding with me." Lu Jingchuan was speechless and could only push her away to come to me, but Aunt Lu grabbed him. "The wedding is about to start. Where are you going at this time?" Lu Jingchuan pursed his lips and said with a determined gaze, "I'm going to find Sherwei. She is my bride. I want to bring her back." Joey stomped her foot unwillingly, and threw herself at Lu Jingchuan, hugging his waist and crying, "If she's gone, she's gone. Let me be your bride, brother Jingchuan. I'm already pregnant with your child. Are you going to let him be an illegitimate child without a name or status? You always said that Song Sherwei's parents were kind to you, and that she was still useful to you, so you refused to marry me. But now that she has left on her own, why do you still refuse to marry me?" "What? You're pregnant?" Aunt Lu's pupils trembled, and she grabbed Joey with trembling hands, her gaze falling on her slightly on the abdomen. Joey nodded. "Mom, I'm already pregnant with Jingchuan's child, and I'm almost 4 months along." Aunt Lu was furious and slapped Lu Jingchuan across the face. "You beast, the child is already 4 months old. How can you do this to Sherwei? No wonder she was determined to leave you. How can you do this to Sherwei? No wonder she was determined to leave you." Lu Jingchuan's eyes turned red, his clenched fist trembling slightly. He dared not think. Could Sherwei already know about Joey's child? How is that possible? I clearly kept it so well hidden. "Mom, it's not what you think. There's nothing between Joey and me. As for this child, it's because 4 months ago at a banquet, I drank too much, and that's why." Hearing Lu Jingchuan say this, Joey collapsed and rushed over, punching his chest with her little fists. "What do you mean? Do you mean that you don't love me? But last night you promised me that you would give me your salary every month and that you would take time out every week to spend with me and the children. How could you not love me?" Lu Jingchuan pulled Joey's hand away and explained, "I only did that to compensate you. In my eyes, you were just a child. How could I like you?" After speaking, Lu Jingchuan turned and left. As he was going down the stairs, Joey chased after him and threw herself onto Lu Jingchuan. "I'm going to marry you today. You can't leave me, even if it means death." The two of them tumbled down the stairs together. Joey clutched her lower abdomen, and a warm flow snaked down between her thighs. "Is stomach, my child." When Lu Jingchuan fell down the stairs, his head hit a vase heavily, blood stained his face, and he fainted. What was supposed to be a good wedding turned into a mess. I knew nothing about what happened at the wedding. After landing in Haicheng, I immediately joined my teacher's research institute to conduct research on new drugs without delay. With the experience and memory of my previous life, I shortened the original research time from 3 years to 1 year. On the day of the successful development, the entire laboratory was cheering. My senior brother handed me the coffee he bought. "Congratulations, Sherwei. This research was proposed by you. Remember to prepare for the release, the speech for the conference. I nodded and said with a smile, no need to prepare, my mind is my speech to celebrate. My senior invited everyone out to dinner that evening. After a few drinks, everyone started chatting about recent gossip. My senior told me that a research institute was developing a drug that was our competitor. Its efficacy was very similar, but the other party was struggling with insufficient startup capital, so their research and development speed was relatively slow. My heart skipped a beat, and almost instantly, Lu Jingchuan's face appeared in my mind. This drug was Lu Jingchuan's signature in my previous life. It was thanks to this drug that Lu Jingchuan became famous and amassed a fortune of over 100 million, but I remembered that he didn't discover this until a year later. How could they have started researching it so early? Could it be that he, like me, has regained memories of his past life? Seeing me spaced out, my senior brother waved his hand in front of my eyes. Sure way, what are you thinking about? I snapped back to reality. Nothing. Oh, by the way, is the drug researcher at that research institute surnamed Lu? My senior brother chuckled a few times and teased, yes. How did you know? I remember his name is Lu Jingchuan, I heard. He's very handsome and well off, but he's been single all this time. No matter who introduces him to a girlfriend, he refuses, only saying he's waiting for someone. Sure way, since you know him, do you know who he's waiting for? My hand paused as I picked up food. Lu Jingchuan is single. Didn't he marry Zhou Yi for some reason? I had a vague premonition of something bad. Could it be that the person Lu Jingchuan said he was waiting for was me? However, this thought only flashed through my mind. How could that be? Based on the timeline, their child would be over a year old by now. No matter how much Lu Jingchuan loved them, mother and son, he must have wanted to protect their privacy, which is why he claimed to be single. Sensing my senior brother's eager gaze, I waved my hands in a panic. I've only heard of it. I'm not familiar with him, and besides, who knows if the person he's waiting for is real? What if he's impotent? My words made everyone at the table burst into laughter, and the unease in my heart gradually dissipated. Even if, for the sake of argument, the person he was waiting for was me, so what? I, Song Shui, would never turn back. On the day of the drug launch, I represented our team on stage, explaining the efficacy of our product in the most concise language, and won the applause of the entire audience. Just as the press conference ended and I was about to leave the venue, a group of reporters with cameras and microphones surrounded me. Ms. Song, we heard that your drug is a copy of someone else's work. What do you have to say about that? Ms. Song, we heard that you obtained the drug research method by sleeping with a researcher from a rival company. Is that true? Ms. Song, we heard that you are a homewrecker and have destroyed someone's family. What is your response to this? These people clearly had ill intentions, and I was stunned. Before I could react, a woman lunged at me. Song Shui, it's all your fault. You killed my child. How dare you attend the press conference? I'll beat you to death. The woman screamed and clawed at my face and hair. I struggled to push her away, and only then did I see her clearly. Zhou Yi, what are you doing here? Zhou Yi got up from the ground, faced the reporters, and pointed at me, accusing, it's her, Song Shui, this so-called renowned drug researcher, who seduced my husband and stole my husband's research results to release as her own. Not only that, but a year ago, she was a homewrecker, destroyed my family, pushed me down from the stairs, causing me to lose my child. How can someone with such bad morals and low character be qualified to stand at the press conference? Not only that, but a year ago, she was a homewrecker, destroyed my family, pushed me down from the stairs, causing me to lose my child. How can someone with such bad morals and low character be qualified to stand at the press conference? Not only that, but a year ago, she was a homewrecker, destroyed my family, pushed me down from the stairs, causing me to lose my child. How can someone with such bad morals and low character be qualified to stand at the press conference? As she spoke, Zhou Yi took out the wedding photo of her and Lu Jingchuan, as well as her prenatal checkup report and miscarriage report, and showed them to the reporters. As she spoke, Zhou Yi took out the wedding photo of her and Lu Jingchuan, as well as her prenatal checkup report and miscarriage report, and showed them to the reporters. The scene immediately descended into chaos, and the reporters swarmed in again, wanting me to respond. As I realized what was happening and was about to respond, a pair of large hands suddenly pulled me out of the crowd and behind him. Zhou Yi, how did you get out here? Hearing a familiar voice, I looked up sharply. It was Lu Jingchuan. Seeing Lu Jingchuan shielding me, Zhou Yi immediately lunged forward like a madwoman. You're still defending this bitch even now? I'll beat you two shameless dogs to death. Lu Jingchuan held me tightly in his arms, letting Zhou Yi's sharp nails tear his face, but this appearance only confirmed the impression that there was something between him and me. I pushed him away forcefully, then slapped Zhou-Yi's face. Miss, your slander and personal attacks against me today have been recorded by all the cameras present, and I will sue you. As for the questions just asked by the reporters, I will give you an answer later. After speaking, I left without looking back. In the corner of the corridor, Lu Jingchuan caught up and grabbed my wrist. Sure way, it's really you, you're really back. Lu Jingchuan's eyes glistened with tears, his hands trembled uncontrollably, and his voice was filled with suppressed surprise. Lu Jingchuan's eyes glistened with tears, his hands trembled uncontrollably, and his voice was filled with suppressed surprise. I frowned and shook off his hand. What does this have to do with you, Mr. Lu? Please don't pull and tug at me like this, eh? Flicker of hurt crossed Lu Jingchuan's face, a few tears fell as he sighed. Sure way, you're still angry with me, aren't you? A year ago, I heard that a genius researcher had come to Haicheng, and I guessed it was you, but they hid you too well. No matter how much I inquired, I couldn't find any news about you. It wasn't until today, seeing you on the stage, that I was sure you had really come back. I couldn't understand. In this life, I had already stepped aside for him, and Zhou-Yi, why was he still inquiring about me, still clinging to me? As if understanding the confusion in my eyes, Lu Jingchuan hurriedly explained, I didn't marry Zhou-Yi, I divorced her the very next day. After learning you had left, I immediately wanted to find you, but that lunatic Zhou-Yi lunged at me, and we both tumbled down the stairs. She lost her child, and I ended up hospitalized for half a month. After losing her child, Zhou-Yi went completely mad. She had no family, so I had her admitted to a psychiatric hospital. I have no idea how she managed to escape today. Sure way, believe me, all I ever felt for her was guilt and pity. I only saw her as a child, which is why I showed her extra care. The only person I love is you, a child. I couldn't help but retort. Lu Jingchuan, this child you speak of is only 2 years younger than me. How can you possibly have the nerve to say something like that? Lu Jingchuan choked up, turning his head away with an ugly expression. After breaking free from him, I tried to leave again, but he grabbed me once more. Sure way, I know you've also been reborn, haven't you? That day when I fell down the stairs and hit my head, after waking up in the hospital, many memories from my past life flooded into my mind. I know you blame me for leaving my assets to Zhou-Yi after my death, but you don't know, I did it out of guilt. Because I lost control after drinking and got Zhou-Yi pregnant, but the one I truly loved was you, so I couldn't give her a proper status. For all these years, I've felt guilty, which is why I left my assets to her and our son after my death. For 18 years, I failed to fulfill my responsibilities as a father and husband, and I never stayed by their side. That's why I left them money. And you, sure way, you usually spend very little, so I thought you didn't care about money. I laughed in anger. How absurd. Look at how cleanly he's absolved himself. In the previous life, he gave love and companionship to me, and money to Zhou-Yi, and the reason for this was even that I didn't care about money. Looking at the deep affection in Lu Jingchuan's eyes, I felt nothing but disgust. I couldn't hold back and slapped him across the face. This slap is my payback to you. Lu Jingchuan, search your conscience. How many of these words of yours are true? Why did I spend so little? It's because I saved every penny and invested it all into your company. As for you, don't stand there and tell me you didn't take responsibility. If I remember correctly, although you took care of that mother and your children are abroad, but you still take a few days every month to go and be with them. Even on the day of your plane crash, you were originally planning to go see them. Only me, I got neither love nor money, and was even left with a body full of illnesses in the end because of your endless exploitation. Lu Jingchuan, do you know how I died in my last life? Lu Jingchuan shook his head. He covered his face in shame, tears streaming through his fingers. I let out a sigh and said calmly, it was because you used me to test drugs that I got cancer. In the end, I had no money for treatment and died on the street. Are you satisfied with that ending? No, it's not like that. I'm sorry, Sure way, I'm so sorry. I thought. Lu Jingchuan seemed to have suffered a tremendous blow, staggering uncontrollably backward several steps before collapsing onto the ground. I know I've done too many things to wrong you, which is why you left me in this lifetime. Sure way, what must I do for you to return to my side? As long as you can forgive me, I'll do anything. I had never seen Lu Jingchuan appear so humble and vulnerable before me. In my memory, he was always aloof, indifferent, forever disregarding me. What stood between us wasn't just a year, it was a full 18 years, my daily withering and tears, my final, helpless and desolate death on the streets. I pursed my lips and spoke word by word. Lu Jingchuan, there is too much between us. In my past life, I chose you, yet in the end, you met with such a fate. Heaven gave me a chance to start over, not to let me repeat the same mistakes. but to let me live as my true self. In this life, I am not your wife, I am only myself. I am Song Sherwei, a researcher developing new drugs. As for you, stop pestering me. Out of respect for Aunt Lu and Uncle Lu, I don't want to make things too ugly between us. I turned and left, and he didn't chase after me, just knelt on the spot, weeping uncontrollably. After returning to the research institute, I compiled our research process and, along with a series of evidence, published it online. This proved that it was our institute's own research achievement and clarified the innocence between me and Lu Jingchuan. I also briefly explained the tangled web of love and hate among the three of us in a few sentences. Netizens were quite rational, almost unanimously supporting me. What I didn't expect was that Aunt Lu also came to support me. She reposted my Weibo post, saying I am her goddaughter and that there is nothing between me and Lu Jingchuan. However, some people didn't believe it, because just moments ago, someone filmed the scene from this morning where Lu Jingchuan was kneeling on the ground, crying and begging me to stay. Once posted, it went viral instantly. Although it's unclear what we were saying to each other, it's evident that a dramatic love-hate scene unfolded between us. An insider revealed a piece of gossip from a year ago, such as Lu Jingchuan playing Truth or Dare and getting a marriage certificate with Zhou, and later stealing the wedding dress my mother had prepared for me. Lu Jingchuan's reputation plummeted, and he was widely condemned as a scumbag. However, many people compromised due to Lu Jingchuan's good looks, praising it as a chasing wife crematorium and hoping Lu Jingchuan would put in more effort to win me over, allowing this tumultuous love to be mended. I'm a bit confused by netizens' wild imaginations. Clearly, this is the correct ending, and the most correct choice I've made in my life was to leave Lu Jingchuan. This is not a chasing wife crematorium at all. I am the female lead of my own story. Zhou was sued by me for defamation. Later, because she had a diagnosis of mental illness, she was not imprisoned but was sent to a controlled facility, a more stringent psychiatric hospital. After everything was over, I went to see Aunt Lu and Uncle Lu, and also visited my parents' graves, telling them about my experiences over the past year. As for Lu Jingchuan, he stood far away and watched me quietly. Beside my parents' graves, there was a peach tree, which my mother loved the most during her lifetime. I planted it myself when Lu Jingchuan and I first got together. When I first got together with Lu Jingchuan, however, not long after we got married in my previous life, this peach tree gradually withered, but now, it is fragrant for 10 miles, with lush branches and leaves. I picked a peach blossom and tucked it between the pages of a book. Glancing back at the person following me from a distance, I walked away with firm steps. I will never look back again. Story 2. My fiancé, Jian Che, is a legendary figure in Kyoto's legal circles, undefeated in his 10 years of practice, earning him the nickname, the Judge of Hell. He once held my hand and whispered in my ear, Jingjing, I've seen too much darkness, and you are my only light. But in the blink of an eye, when I was framed and thrown into prison, he, as the opposing counsel, personally submitted my confession to the court, all just to protect his new intern. By you, that girl, while posting on social media about how sorry she felt for me, would cheerfully tell my fiancé, love you. Watching him twist right and wrong to defend that innocent and kind girl, his eyes full of coldness and impatience, I suddenly laughed. He probably still thinks I'm the same delicate flower who loved him so much that I lost myself. Jian Che, since you want to play, I looked at him, enunciating every word with force, then I'll play big with you. 01, Defendant Wen Jing, do you plead guilty? In the courtroom, the judge's voice was solemn and authoritative, echoing through the hall via the microphone, yet my gaze was locked firmly on the lawyer seated at the plaintiff's table. That was the man I had loved for 10 years, Jian Che. Today, he was dressed in a sharply tailored black suit, the eyes behind his gold-rimmed glasses, the very eyes I had once drowned in for countless days and nights, my sea of stars, now seemed to be laced with ice. Beside him sat his client, who was also the new intern at our law firm, Bai Yu, dressed in a white dress, delicate and vulnerable. She looked at me with a gaze that mixed concern with a hint of secret triumph. I gripped the railing of the defendant's bench, my nails nearly digging into the wood. I did not leak Xinhua Group's trade secrets. That confession, Jian Che got me drunk last night and coerced me into signing it. As soon as the words left my mouth, the entire courtroom erupted in an uproar. The flashbulbs from the press section instantly flickered like mad. Order in the court. Jian Che's face darkened. He picked up the so-called confession and strode over to me, mercilessly slapping the papers against my face. The edge of the paper scraped across my cheek, leaving a stinging burn in its wake. Wen Jing, his voice was even colder than the winter snow outside the window. You make a mistake yourself and still try to shift the blame onto others. I induced you. Why don't you just say I held a knife to your throat and forced you to sign? He turned around, facing the judge and the jury, his voice returning to its professional calm and restraint. Miss Bayou has just entered the industry, with a bright future ahead of her. She is innocent and kind. How could she ever do such a thing? His gaze swept over me, filled with disappointment and disdain. Wen Jing, if you ruin her future now, I won't hesitate to make sure you rot in prison. Innocent and kind. I looked at Bayou's face, streaked with tears but unable to hide the hint of a smile at the corners of her eyes. My heart felt as if it were being tightly squeezed by a giant hand, the pain stealing my breath. 10 years of a relationship, in his words, were worth less than a green tea intern he'd known for less than 3 months. The night before the trial, Bayou posted on social media, "Although my heart aches for my sister, the bottom line of the law must not be trampled. I admire my teacher for putting justice above family and upholding what is right. Teacher is the best. Love you." Below it was Jiang Che's like. In that moment, the last of my feelings for him were extinguished completely now, watching him abandon all sense of right and wrong to defend that little lover of his. The last traces of churning pain inside me strangely settled. Only icy hatred and utter silence remained. Fine, Jiang Che. I steadied myself against the railing, slowly standing upright, and gave him a smile. "If you really think I did it, then show me the proof." I lifted my chin, looked him straight in the eye, and enunciated each word. "But let me warn you, you'd better be absolutely sure you can destroy me in one go, because if not, everything you've done to me today, I will make you and her pay back 1,000-fold, 100,000-fold. My words made Jiang Che's eyes flicker with a trace of shock, as if he hadn't expected me to be so unyielding. But then he gave a cold laugh, the disdain in his gaze deepening, as if he were looking at a ridiculous clown who overestimated himself. He turned, gave a slight nod toward the judge's bench, and then sat back down in his seat. The trial continued, but my mind drifted back to that humiliating night. It was the anniversary of my engagement to Jiang Che. For once, he hadn't worked late. Instead, he cooked a whole table of dishes for me with his own hands and opened a bottle of my favorite red wine. I thought it was a sign that he was having a change of heart. After all, ever since Bayou appeared, we had been in a cold war for far too long. I drank a lot, too much to remember anything clearly. All I recall is him holding me, whispering many gentle words in my ear. "Jingjing, the Xinhua case was yours. Now that there's a problem, the company needs someone to take responsibility. I know it wasn't you, but right now all the evidence points to you, and there's nothing I can do. Just sign this document. Consider it an internal investigation, a formality. I'll take care of everything for you." I believed it. In a daze, I signed my name. In hindsight, every word of those gentle assurances was laced with poison. He is the king of hell in the courtroom, a maestro of manipulation, and I am his most foolish prey. Defendant, do you have anything else to add? The judge's voice pulled me back to reality. I looked around at the scrutinizing, suspicious, and gloating eyes, at Jiang Che's indifferent face, and at Bayou's triumphant expression. Taking a deep breath, I spoke clearly into the microphone. "I demand to replace my defense attorney. Furthermore, I request a postponement of the trial, as I will be submitting new evidence to prove my innocence." 2. Miss Wen, to be honest, this case is very difficult. The man sitting across from me was named Shinyan. He wore slightly baggy casual clothes, had messy hair, faint dark circles under his eyes, and fidgeted with a long discontinued Zippo lighter covered in scratches. Much like the man himself, exuding a disheveled decadence and a touch of untimely stubbornness, he was Jiang Che's college classmate and the only person who had ever beaten Jiang Che once in his entire career since his debut. After losing that lawsuit, Shin Yan went from being the most dazzling rising star in the industry to the half-dead, go-with-the-flow lawyer he is now, scraping by on trivial divorce cases. Everyone thought he was finished, but I know that a wounded wolf only knows better how to tear into its prey's throat. That's exactly why I came to you. I pushed a cup of coffee toward him. "I know you've always wanted to beat Jiang Che. Now's your chance." Shin Yan glanced up at me with a smirk. "A chance, Miss Wen. All the evidence, including that confession you signed, is stacked against you. Jiang Che is a legend in this circle. You want me to take a handful of junk cards and go up against his royal flush?" He paused, tapping his lighter on the table. "Besides, you were his fiancé. What is this? A lover's spat? And I'm the cannon fodder, ex-fiancé." I corrected him coldly. The moment he threw that document in my face, we were done. I looked him straight in the eye and slid a bank card across the table. "There's $1 million in here, my retainer. Win, and I'll give you another $2 million. I have only one demand. Not only clear my name, but make Bayou, and Jiang Che behind her, fall from grace and ruin their reputations." Shin Yan's fingertips paused on the lighter. He finally looked at me directly, and in those seemingly drowsy eyes, a flash of predatory gleam appeared. The hunter spotting his prey, ruined. That's a bold claim, He slowly leaned back into his chair. Go on, what leverage do you have? I am the leverage, I said. From start to finish, I was the only one in charge of the Xinhua Group project. Every figure, every detail, it's all etched into my mind, in that leaked confidential document. There's a key piece of data that's wrong, a deliberate error set up only between me and the person in charge of the Xinhua project, specifically to catch a mole. Xin Yan's eyes lit up. A trap in the data, exactly, I nodded, but here's the problem, Jiangche also knows about this data, because I once showed him the final version of the document. Xin Yan frowned, so the leak could have come from you, or from Jiangche, or from Baiyu, who got hold of the files on Jiangche's computer. There was no warmth in my voice. Silence fell over the office. Xin Yan's slender fingers tapped the desk irregularly, as if calculating something. After a long pause, he suddenly smiled. Now this is getting interesting. The courtroom judge of hell personally sends his own fiancée to court for the sake of an intern, only to find out he was the fool who let the wolf into the house. I like this plot. He picked up the bank card, spun it between his fingers, then slipped it into his pocket. I'll take this case, but Miss Wen, he stood up, looking down at me from his full height. Jiangche is arrogant and suspicious. For Baiyu to have gained his trust so quickly, to the point where he would go this far, there has to be more behind it than just innocent and kind. I know, I said, lowering my gaze. When Baiyu first joined the firm, she came as Jiangche's junior from law school. She always timidly followed behind him, addressing him as senior at every turn, and the look in her eyes when she gazed at him was one of undisguised admiration and adoration. This admiration greatly satisfied Jiangche's lofty, prideful ego that thrived on being looked up to. Jiangche had a memory anchor, the way he adjusted his tie. Whenever he felt in complete control and thoroughly pleased with himself, he would subconsciously smooth his tie with his fingertips. During that time, I saw him make that gesture more often than I had in the entire previous year, and Baiyu was the one who precisely provided him with all that emotional validation. After he won a lawsuit, she would say in her most adoring tone, "Senior, you're simply the most impressive lawyer I've ever met." When he was tired, she would bring him a cup of warm water and say softly, "Senior, you've worked hard, please don't wear yourself out." These were the small gestures I had once disdained, or rather, after 10 years of love, had grown too lazy to perform, but Baiyu attended to each and every one of them. She was like a carefully woven net, slowly enveloping Jiangche like a frog in slowly heated water, making him sink into indulgence. "I need you to look into Baiyu's background," I said, raising my head to Xin Yan. "Everything, down to the smallest detail." Xin Yan curled his lips slightly and tucked the old lighter back into his pocket. "Don't worry," he said, digging up family skeletons. "That's my specialty." With that, he turned and left. I knew that my counterattack had only truly begun. From this moment, Jiangche, aren't you trying to protect your innocent, kind little intern? I can't wait to see the look on your face, Yama of the courtroom, when her true nature is revealed layer by layer. 3 Over the next few days, Xin Yan and I practically lived in his office. That small office, crammed with case files, became my command post. Found it. Xin Yan, with 2 huge dark circles under his eyes, slapped a document down in front of me. "You're innocent and kind, Miss Baiyu has a record that's plenty clean." I picked up the documents and flipped through them quickly. Baiyu, a graduate of a third-tier law school with mediocre grades, somehow managed to secure an internship at Junqing Law Firm, one of the top firms in the capital. Her resume contained no standout internship experience. The only detail worth noting was that she had once worked as a legal assistant at a company called Qihong Technology, and Qihong Technology happened to be the biggest domestic competitor of Xinhua Group. My heart skipped a beat. "Look into Qihong Technology," I said immediately. Xin Yan snapped his fingers. "Already did. The current legal director at Qihong Technology is named Li Mingxian. 5 years ago, Jiangche personally sent him to prison for 3 years over a patent infringement case." The pieces of the puzzle instantly fell into place. So, this was all a setup. My voice turned cold. After Li Mingxian got out of prison, his criminal intentions remained. He wanted revenge on Jiangche and also wanted to steal Xinhua's secrets, so he found Baiyu and made her a pawn, getting her close to Jiangche. "And what about Baiyu?" She agreed. "For money, or to get into Junqing Law Firm." Xin Yan added, "That woman is far more ambitious than she appears." He pointed to another page of the documents. "Look here, during college, she maliciously spread rumors about her roommate, which caused the roommate to become depressed and drop out. In the end, because Baiyu showed a good attitude of admitting her fault, she only got a demerit on her record. She has a small scar on the inside of her left wrist. Supposedly, it was an accidental cut from when the roommate's brother came to confront her. This detail reminded me of something once. I happened to see Bayu crying in the break room, and Jian Che was comforting her. She said she had accidentally cut her wrist on the corner of a filing cabinet. Seeing the wound, Jian Che's expression changed instantly, and he scolded the administrative department for not handling even such a small matter properly. Thinking back now, she probably deliberately showed that scar and fabricated a lie to gain Jian Che's sympathy and protectiveness. She knew Jian Che all too well. She knew that Jian Che, though cold to the outside world, had an almost obsessive protective instinct, especially toward those he deemed weak. She exploited this by disguising herself as a harmless little white rabbit, and step by step, she pushed Jian Che and me into the situation we are in now. Do we have any evidence? I asked. Xin Yan shook his head. Li Mingxian is very cautious. His contact with Bayu is always through encrypted software, making it very hard to trace. All we have right now are speculations. Then let's turn it into fact. I stared at the documents, my mind racing. Since Bayu relies on her acting skills to get by, I'll make sure she can't keep up the act any longer. For every update of the Xinhua Group's project data, I make dual backups on both the local server and the cloud. I said, I have a private encrypted USB drive containing all the operation logs of the original data, including the time and IP address of each modification. I remember that Bayu requested a sick leave the day after I sent the final version of the document to Jian Che. Xin Yan's eyes lit up. You mean, check her whereabouts on the day she took sick leave, as well as the IP login records for that day? I said calmly. If I'm not mistaken, she was using Jian Che's computer that day, doing something unspeakable. I know the power-on password for Jian Che's computer. It's my birthday. That was once a sweet thing between us, but now it has become the most ironic weapon. At that moment, I could almost imagine how smug Bayu must have felt. She exploited my trust in Jian Che and his indulgence toward her, doing whatever she pleased in my world. Okay. Xin Yan immediately took out his phone and started making a call. I know a very skilled hacker. As long as they've used it, there will definitely be traces left behind. After hanging up, he looked at me, a hint of admiration in his eyes. Wen Jing, you're calmer than I expected. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it at all. Those who are pushed to the brink either fall apart or turn into a blade, and I choose to be the latter. The next 2 days were an agonizing wait. The date of the second court session was drawing nearer, and both Xin Yan and I were racing against time. Then, on the afternoon before the trial, Xin Yan's hacker friend finally came through with news. Xin Yan looked at the results displayed on the computer screen and let out a sharp whistle. Bingo! I leaned in, and the screen clearly showed that on the day Bayu took sick leave, an IP address from Jian Che's private residence had logged into my cloud server and downloaded the file named Xinhua Project Final Version. Even more critical was that within half an hour of the download, this IP address had a prolonged encrypted file transfer with another IP address located at Jihan Technologies headquarters. The evidence was ironclad. Now, we can invite this Miss Bai into the spotlight. Xin Yan smiled like a cat that had stolen the cream, yet my heart felt none of the relief I had expected, because while this evidence nailed Bayu, it also dragged Jian Che into the mud, using his personal computer to log into my account, steal company secrets, and send them to a competitor. Whether intentional or not, aware or unaware, his career would face utter ruin. Is this what I wanted? I stared at the familiar IP address on the computer screen, my mind blank with confusion. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I hesitated for a moment, then picked up. On the other end of the line came a voice I hadn't expected. It was Jian Che. His voice sounded a bit tired, with even a faint hint of vulnerability. Jing, can we meet? He said. 04. Jian Che and I agreed to meet at a cafe we used to love going to. Sitting across the table from this familiar man, I suddenly felt a hint of estrangement. He had lost some weight. The dark circles under his eyes were even deeper than Xin Yan's. His once meticulously styled hair was slightly disheveled, and even his gold-rimmed glasses couldn't hide the irritation and exhaustion between his brows. It seemed the past few days hadn't been easy on him either. Jing, do you really have to do this? He spoke first, a hint of reproach in his tone. Hiring Xin Yan as your lawyer. Do you want the whole Jingdu to laugh at me? I picked up the coffee in front of me, took a small sip, and said nothing. Laugh at him? That had never crossed my mind. I just wanted to stay alive. Drop the lawsuit, he said, softening his tone when I remained silent, even reaching out to take my hand. Let this case end here. I'll find a way to make it up to you for all the grievances you've suffered. The villa in the east of the city that you wanted, I can transfer it to you right now. I dodged his hand, finding it a little amusing. Did he really think that the mistakes he made could be offset with an apartment? Compensate me. I looked at him and asked softly, Jian Che, in your heart, is my innocence, my reputation, and our relationship worth no more than an apartment. His expression darkened. Wenjing, don't push your luck. You know full well that Bai Yu didn't mean it. She just wanted too badly to prove herself in front of me, so that gives her the right to frame me, and gives you the peace of mind to put me in the defendant's seat. My voice turned cold as well. Jiangche, you've really mastered this blame the victim routine. What? Did you just learn it from your little white rabbit of an apprentice? You, Jiangche was left speechless, his face turning ashen. Just then, a saccharine voice cut in. Senior fellow apprentice, I've been looking for you everywhere. So here you are, carrying a glass of juice. Bai Yu walked over gracefully and sat down naturally beside Jiangche. She deliberately leaned a little closer to him, her possessiveness unmistakable. When she saw me, she immediately put on a look of surprise and guilt. Sister, you're here too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. I'm just worried about my senior fellow apprentice. Watching her flawless tea ceremony performance, I almost broke into applause. Worried about him, I raised an eyebrow, worried he might lose the lawsuit, or worried he might grow a conscience and refuse to keep lying for you anymore. Bai Yu's face turned pale instantly, her eyes reddening as she looked at Jiangche pitifully. Senior fellow apprentice, that's not true. Jiangche bristled like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He slammed the table, stood up, and pointed at my nose, shouting, Wenjing, that's enough. Just because you're vicious yourself, don't think everyone else is like you. I know Bai Yu's character better than you do. I'm warning you. If you dare hurt her again, I will never let you off. All eyes in the cafe turned toward us. I had become the overbearing villain. As for them, they are a devoted couple united by an unbreakable bond, standing together against evil forces in their tragic, romantic fate. What a well-played act. Watching the furious Jiangche and Bai Yu, who hid behind him with a smug smile. The last glimmer of hope in my heart was extinguished slowly. I stood up, straightened my clothes, then picked up the cup of scalding coffee from the table and steadily threw it in Jiangche's face. Ah! Jiangche cried out in pain. The brown liquid dripped down his handsome face, soaking his expensive white shirt, leaving him in a disheveled mess. Bai Yu also screamed, frantically grabbing napkins to wipe him down. The entire coffee shop fell into dead silence. Jiangche, don't you think I'm malicious? I looked at him coldly and said, word by word, then I'll show you just how malicious I can be. See you in court. I hope your reputation as the court's Yanluo can still protect you by then. With that, I didn't spare them another glance. I turned around, stepped away in my high heels, and walked out of that place, filled with 10 years of our memories, without looking back. As I reached the door, I even heard Bai Yu's tearful voice. Senior, are you okay? It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, big sister wouldn't have treated you like this. I let out a scornful laugh. Go on, Bai Yu, keep acting. Your stage is about to collapse. I took out my phone and sent a message to Shenyan. Same plan as before. Tomorrow, I want both of them standing in the defendant's box. 5. At the second court session, the courtroom was packed. Journalists from major media outlets, peers in the legal profession, and even some prominent figures from wealthy families who had come to watch the spectacle were all present. Everyone wanted to know how this showdown between the so-called legend of Kyoto's legal circle and his former fiancée would ultimately end. Jiangche had changed into another suit, but it still couldn't hide the exhaustion on his face. The way he looked at me was as though he wished he could tear me apart. Bai Yu still sat by his side, though her smug expression had faded considerably, replaced by a faint, hard-to-detect nervousness. The presiding judge struck the gavel, and the trial began. The first to speak was still Jiangche. He submitted additional evidence, attempting to prove that I had committed gross negligence in the Xinhua project, even hinting that I might have embezzled funds while guarding the treasury. His words were sharp and his logic meticulous, truly deserving of the title courtroom king of hell. Anyone else would likely have crumbled under his assault. Unfortunately for him, he was up against me, and a Shenyan who had long been itching to take him down. Objection. Shenyan stood up. All the evidence submitted by the plaintiff's attorney is based on subjective speculation. There is no direct evidence proving that my client engaged in any act of leaking confidential information. Legally speaking, this does not hold up. I suspect the plaintiff's attorney is using his professional expertise to mislead the jury. Jiangche's expression stiffened. Shenyan did not give him a chance to respond. He turned and, facing the judge's bench, declared with resounding force, Your Honor, I now request permission for my client to submit new evidence. The judge approved it under everyone's gaze. I stepped up to the witness stand and handed the small encrypted USB drive to the court clerk. This USB drive contains the operation records of all files I was responsible for during the Xinhua project. Every modification, every save is logged with a timestamp accurate to the second, along with the IP address used to log in. My gaze slowly shifted to Bai Yu, and I noticed her body tremble almost imperceptibly. According to the records, the final version of the confidential document was accessed and downloaded the day before it was leaked, the same day Miss Bai Yu claimed to be homesick due to illness, by a device logged in with the IP address XXX, and this IP address, upon our verification, I paused, then spoke clearly, word by word, belongs precisely to the private residence of Mr. Jiangche. Boom, the entire courtroom erupted instantly. All eyes, like searchlights, shot toward Jiangche and Bai Yu in unison. Jiangche's face turned pale in an instant. He whipped his head around, staring hard at Bai Yu, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief. Bai Yu, on the other hand, was completely panicked. She shook her head frantically, grabbing Jiangche's arm and stammering defensively, "No, it wasn't me, brother, you have to believe me. I was really sick that day, I didn't go anywhere. Order, order." The judge pounded the gavel forcefully. Shen Yan stepped forward, closing in on the flustered Bai Yu. "Miss Bai Yu, no need to be nervous, whether you were home recovering that day or using Attorney Zhang's computer to engage in something shameful. We have another piece of evidence." He made a gesture to the assistant behind him on the large screen in the courtroom. A screenshot of a file transfer record immediately appeared. "These are the data records we obtained from the telecommunications department." Shen Yan's voice was exceptionally clear in the silent courtroom. The records show that within half an hour after the file was downloaded, the IP address at Jiangche's home engaged in an encrypted file transfer lasting 5 minutes with another IP address, and that receiving IP address is located in the headquarters of Qihang Technology, the biggest rival of Xinhua Group. Shen Yan's gaze pierced Bai Yu's heart like a sharp sword. "Miss Bai Yu, do you still want to say that you had nothing to do with all of this?" Bai Yu looked at the irrefutable evidence on the screen, and the color drained instantly from her face. She was done for. All her disguises, all her lies, were shattered to pieces at that moment. Her body swayed, nearly collapsing to the ground. Jiangche steadied her, but his gaze had shifted from initial protectiveness to cold scrutiny and suspicion. He was no fool. When the evidence was laid before him, no one understood more clearly than he did what it meant. It meant that he, Jiangche, the legend of Kyoto's legal circle, had been played for a fool, a thorough fool. He thought he was protecting an innocent, pure little flower, but instead, he had been paving the way for a corporate spy, and the woman he had personally pushed away and hurt was the only one who had truly loved him, whom he had nearly destroyed. I saw his hands trembling, saw the storm gathering in his eyes. The real drama has only just begun. 6. I object. The origin of this evidence is unclear, and both its legality and authenticity are in question. Jiangche finally snapped out of his shock. He immediately stood up, attempting one last desperate struggle. His voice was slightly distorted with rage and humiliation. Shen Yan had anticipated this. Calmly and unhurriedly, he produced an authorization document. "Your Honor, this is an expert appraisal report issued by specialists from the National Data Security Center, along with a letter of authorization from my client, Miss Wen Jing, granting us permission to access her personal data backups. All procedures are completely lawful." He looked at Jiangche, a mocking smile curling at the corner of his mouth. "Attorney Jiang, are you questioning the professionalism of national experts, or the procedures by which we submitted this evidence to the court?" Jiangche was left speechless, his handsome face flushing a deep crimson. He had probably never suffered such humiliation in a courtroom before. All the lights were focused on him. Those beams that once represented honor and praise had now turned into merciless whips, lashing across his face again and again. Bai Yu completely broke down. She was incoherent, tears and snot streaming down her face, her previous pitiable charm gone. "It wasn't me. It really wasn't me. It was Li Mingxian. Li Mingxian from Qihang Technology forced me to do this." In her desperation, she finally blurted out that name. Oh, Shen Yan was like a hunter who had waited a long time and finally saw the prey fall into the trap. "Li Mingxian, Miss Bai Yu, you know Li Mingxian, the legal director of Qihang Technology." "I don't." Bai Yu realized she had misspoken, and immediately tried to correct herself, but it was already too late. Shen Yan would not give her that chance. "Miss Bai Yu, according to our investigation, your academic performance during college was average, with no outstanding achievements, yet you managed to beat many top graduates from prestigious universities and secure an internship at the prestigious Junting law firm in the capital. That seems somewhat unusual." Shen Yan paced to her, his voice not loud but each word cutting deep. "Unless someone paved the way for you, for instance, someone eager to take revenge on lawyer Jiangche, and in need of a pawn to infiltrate Jinqing law firm." He stopped in front of Bai Yu, looking down at her from his height. "Miss Bai Yu, 5 years ago, Li Mingxian of Chihan Technology lost a patent case to lawyer Jiang Che and ended up behind bars. Could it be that he harbors a grudge against lawyer Jiang? I don't know, don't ask me. Baiyu covered her ears and shook her head. Frantically, do you really not know? Shen Yan pressed on step by step. You joined Jincheng law firm, deliberately got close to Jiang Che, exploited his trust and protective nature, drove a wedge between him and his fiancée, then stole trade secrets and framed my client. Was all of this part of you and Li Mingxuan's plan? No, Baiyu let out a piercing scream, her emotions completely unraveling. It was him. He promised me that as long as I could get Xinghua's proposal, he would make me a partner at Jincheng. He said he loved me. He said he would break up with Wen Jing and marry me. He lied to me. She suddenly pointed fiercely at Jiang Che beside her, her eyes blazing with frantic hatred at this moment. She finally revealed her truest, ugliest self. The entire audience fell into dead silence. Everyone was stunned by this earth-shattering twist. As for Jiang Che, the man accused by Baiyu, the senior fellow apprentice who had always defended her, the look on his face could no longer be described as mere shock. It was the utter blankness that follows the collapse of one's beliefs. He looked at this woman beside him, now acting like a madwoman, at her twisted features and ugly expression, as if seeing her for the first time. So this was the innocent and kind person in his eyes. So this was the little white rabbit he had protected, even at the cost of hurting the one he had loved for 10 years. Irony, a tremendous irony, like a resounding slap in the face, landed hard on his cheek. I watched him go from shock, to doubt, to anger, and now to utter despair. In my heart, there was not a trace of vengeful satisfaction, only a desolate sense of sorrow. Jiang Che, look, this is what you chose with your own hands for her. You gave up on me, and you gave up on yourself. Now, are you satisfied? There is no need for the trial to continue. Under emotional collapse, Baiyu made a full confession to stealing trade secrets, colluding internally and externally with Li Mingxian from Qihang Technology, and framing me with false accusations. What was supposed to be a trial against me turned into a complete farce, and the protagonist of this farce was the man I once loved most. He stood there, in the center of the courtroom, under countless gazes, sympathetic, mocking, or contemptuous, like a statue drained of its soul. The myth of the courtroom judge of hell came to an absolute end today. 7. Baiyu was sentenced to 7 years in prison for multiple crimes, including commercial espionage and false accusation. Li Mingxian from Qihang Technology is also being prosecuted in a separate case on suspicion of instigation and abetting. What awaits him is the stern punishment of the law, and I was acquitted the moment I stepped out of the courthouse gates. The sunlight stung my eyes. Shen Yan stood beside me and handed me a pair of sunglasses, wearing that same casual, nonchalant expression. Congratulations, Miss Wen. Justice has finally prevailed. Thank you, I said to him sincerely. Don't thank me, thank yourself. Shen Yan lit a cigarette and blew out a smoke ring. You were ruthless enough, and smart enough. He paused, then added, don't forget to transfer that 2 million to my account. His words made me laugh, and the gloom that had hung over me for days seemed to lift a little. You won't be shortchanged, I said. As we were talking, urgent footsteps sounded from behind. Jing. It was Jiang Che. He caught up and grabbed my wrist. His hand was cold and his grip was tight, as if he was afraid I would run away. Jing, I'm sorry. His voice was hoarse, and his eyes were red. I know it's too late to say anything now, but please, give me one more chance. He tried to pull me into his arms. I was a jerk. I was blind. That woman deceived me, hit me, curse me, do whatever you want, just don't ignore me. Okay. I caught the lingering scent of Baiyu's usual perfume on him, and it made me feel nothing but disgust. I forcefully shook off his hand and stepped back, putting distance between us. Jiang Che, I looked at him calmly. What's between us ended long ago. It ended the moment you chose to believe Baiyu and slammed that confession letter in my face. That's not true, Jing. I was just confused for a moment. He pleaded anxiously, confused for a moment. I felt like I'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. Jiang Che, who are you? You're the courtroom Grim Reaper, a top-tier lawyer. Your reason and judgment are what you pride yourself on most. Are you telling me that just because you were confused for a moment, you couldn't tell sincerity from pretense, truth from lies? I walked toward him step by step, my gaze sharp as a knife. You weren't confused, you just stopped loving me. You enjoyed the novelty and admiration Baiyu gave you. You grew tired of me, the old flame you'd been with for 10 years, who could no longer offer you any emotional value. So when trouble arose, your instinct was to sacrifice me, to protect your new love. That has nothing to do with confusion. It was simply a choice made after weighing the pros and cons. On your scale, me, and our 10 years of feelings, had long become worthless. Every word I spoke was like a knife, stabbing deep into his heart. His face turned pale. Inch by inch his body began to sway, on the verge of collapse. "No, that's not true, Jing, He tried to retort, but couldn't utter a single word because everything I said was the truth. He looked at me, his eyes filled with pain and despair. That man, once so lofty and untouchable, now looked as fragile as a child. He reached out, trying to pull me back again, his voice laced with pleading. Jing, I was wrong. I really was wrong. Can we start over? I'll give you all my shares in Juncheng. I'll give you everything. I don't need any of it." I interrupted him. "Jiangche, from today on, I don't want to hear your name or see your face again. Take care of yourself." With that, I stopped looking at him, turned around, and got into Xinyan's car. In the rearview mirror, I saw Jiangche still standing there, motionless like a puppet abandoned by the whole world. The scene should have been deeply satisfying, but inside, I felt nothing but an empty void. Perhaps when love has turned to ashes, all that remains is endless nothingness. 8. Jiangche's career was completely ruined. Although he had committed no direct crime in this legal battle, his actions, aiding the wicked, showing poor judgment, and even slandering his fiancée for the sake of his mistress, had turned him into a laughingstock throughout the entire Kyoto legal circle. In an effort to salvage its reputation, Juncheng Law Firm promptly issued a statement terminating its partnership with Jiangche. The once thriving practice of attorney Jiang now sees no clients at all. I heard he sold the home we once shared, drowning himself in alcohol every day. Utterly wretched. Once, Xinyan told me he saw him in a small tavern, unkempt, reeking of liquor, grabbing the bartender and repeating over and over, "It was my fault, I was wrong to her." Hearing all this, I felt nothing at all. Pitiful perhaps, but I will never forget the cold, merciless look on his face in court, the look of someone who wanted me dead. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have done it in the first place. Some mistakes, once made, take a lifetime to atone for. I resigned from Juncheng Law Firm, and used the compensation money Xinyan helped me win in the lawsuit to go into partnership with him and open a new law firm. The name of the firm was simple, Jingyan. On the day it opened, the sun was just right. I cut off the long hair I had kept for 10 years and changed into a sharp, professional suit. Looking at myself in the mirror, clear-eyed with neat, short hair, I suddenly felt that the past 10 years had been like a long dream. Now, the dream is over. Xinyan leaned against the doorframe, still looking half asleep, but there was genuine amusement in his eyes. "Boss Wen, with your short hair, you actually look a bit like the courtroom Grim Reaper." I rolled my eyes at him. "It's Queen." He laughed too. Our law firm's first case was legal aid. A girl had been subjected to long-term PUA by her supervisor, and was even manipulated into signing a suretyship agreement that made her personally liable for the company's massive debts. Desperate with no way out, she tried to take her own life several times. Her family came to us. Looking into the girl's dull, lifeless eyes, I felt as if I were seeing my former self. "Don't worry," I said to her. "Justice will be served. We'll help you get it back." In that moment, I finally understood that perhaps none of what I had experienced was meaningless. It showed me the ugliness of human nature, but also helped me find what I truly want to do, to use the lessons from my own falls to help more girls like me, to let them know that when the abyss gazes into you, you can choose to become a light more powerful than the abyss. Perhaps that is the true meaning of this ordeal I have endured. 9. Our law firm gradually built a reputation. Xinyan and I, one responsible for logic and evidence, the other for psychological tactics and strategy, worked together with seamless coordination. We took on many cases and helped many people in need. Every time I stood in court and fought for the rights that those helpless people deserved, I felt an unprecedented sense of fulfillment. It was a realization of self-worth that felt far more solid than indulging in romantic love. I began to enjoy my work and take pleasure in my life. I made new friends and built a new social circle. The name Jiangche had not appeared in my world for a very long time. I thought our lives would never cross again until that day. I received a call from an unfamiliar number. On the other end of the line was an old, weary female voice. "Is this Miss Wen Jing? I'm Jiangche's mother." My heart skipped a beat. "Hello, Auntie," I said, trying to keep my voice as calm as possible. "Jingjing," Jiangche's mother said, her voice choked with tears, "I'm begging you, please come see Xiaoche. He doesn't have much time left." By the time I arrived at the hospital, Jiangche was already in the emergency room. The doctor said it was alcohol poisoning, complicated by severe gastric bleeding. It was delivered too late, and the situation is very dangerous. Jiangche's parents stood outside the door, and overnight, they seemed to have aged 10 years. Zhang's mother grabbed my hand as if I were her last hope, tears streaming down her aged face. "Jingjing, it's all our fault. We didn't teach him right, and that's why he did such an awful thing. You can blame him, resent him, whatever you want, but he truly loves you. For the past 6 months, Not a day has gone by that he hasn't called your name in his thoughts, or regretted what he did. I stared at the red light of the emergency room. My emotions in turmoil. Love me, I don't know, maybe he once did, but that love was too selfish, too cheap, unable to withstand the slightest temptation, nor the slightest test. In the end, nothing was left but hurt. In the end, Jiang Che was revived. I watched him through the glass of the intensive care unit. He lay on the hospital bed, covered in tubes. The man who had once been so confident and vigorous now looked as fragile as a candle flame about to flicker out at any moment. I didn't know how he would react when he woke up and saw me. I didn't want to know either. I left a sum of money, then said to his parents, "Uncle, Auntie, this is a small token from me. After all, he was once my family, but I hope this is the last time I come to this place because of him." Mother Jiang wanted to say something more, but Father Jiang held her back. That man, who had always been quiet and reserved, gave me a deep bow. "Jingjing, thank you, and, I'm sorry." I nodded and turned to leave. This time, truly, I would never look back again. I gave him back to his parents. And I gave myself back to me. 10. Life had finally returned to normal. The law firm Jing Yan grew increasingly renowned, and we even started taking on international cases. Shen Yan was no longer the listless man he had been. He donned well-tailored suits and styled his hair meticulously, though he still habitually toyed with that old lighter. His eyes grew brighter than ever. He said he wanted to reclaim his status as the rising star of the legal world, but this time, for himself, I was truly happy. For him, my own life had become increasingly fulfilling and wonderful. 2. I started working out, learning flower arranging, and exploring wine tasting. I visited places I'd long wanted to see but never had the time for, and took in so much beautiful scenery. My world was no longer confined to just one person. It had grown vast and boundless. Occasionally, I still think of Jiang Che. I heard that after he was discharged from the hospital, he left Kyoto and went back to his hometown. No one knows where he went, and no one cares. That once legendary name has completely faded into time. As for me, after winning another case for a client, I received a bouquet of sunflowers from her. Their golden blossoms forever turned toward the sun, just like me now. Shen Yan leaned against the doorframe of my office and asked with a smile, "Where are we going for dinner to celebrate tonight?" I placed the sunflowers into the vase, and the sunlight fell on both the petals and my face. I turned around and gave him a bright, radiant smile. "Let's go for hot pot," I said, "the spiciest kind. To hell with the past, to hell with the jerk. From now on, my life, just like this hot pot, will be bold, sizzling, and full of vibrant flavor." That's the end of the first story. I hope you enjoyed it. The stories to come will be even more exciting. Let's keep reading together. Su Xing, let's break up. Du Yanchen slid a bank card across the table toward me. "There's 500,000 here, enough to keep you going for a while," leaning back in the expensive French restaurant chair. His posture relaxed, his tone carried a hint of condescension. "We're not from the same world." I looked at his handsome yet unfamiliar face, then at the thin card. 500,000. His company's starting capital was 20 million. I gave it to him. The riverside penthouse he now lives in, worth 80 million at market price, is under my name. The Porsche Panamera he drives to work, which cost over 3 million yuan on the road, was a birthday gift from me. He doesn't even know that every penny of the company he's so proud of, from the tech equity contribution to the angel round financing, came from my family's capital. And in his eyes, I'm just a girlfriend who grew up in an ordinary family, has a little money, works as an office clerk at a small company, and earns a monthly salary of 8,000 yuan. He's made it, so he thinks I'm no longer good enough for him. I smiled, not a bitter smile, not self-mocking. It was genuinely, from the heart, just laughable. 3 years of relationship. I carefully hid my true background, accompanied him eating at street stalls, squeezed into the subway for him, and cooked for him with my own hands. I thought it was a test, part of the charm. Looking back now, it was just a joke that only moved myself. Du Yanchen. I picked up the card and twirled it between my fingers. "Have you forgotten who gave you everything you have now?" He frowned, a flicker of impatience crossing his face. "Su Xing, I know your family is fairly well off, and you did support me a bit back then, but this 500,000 is more than enough to repay that favor. My company's success today comes from my talent and relentless hard work, not your paltry help." Talent, hard work. I repeated the words, my smile deepening. "Is your talent using my money to court other women?" His expression changed instantly. "What nonsense are you talking?" Lin Weiwei, your new assistant, wearing Chanel's latest collection, carrying a limited edition Hermes handbag. Du Yanchen, how much salary do you pay her a month to afford her such lavish spending? His eyes darted away, but his tone grew tougher. "That's her ability. Unlike you, Su Xing, you're too ordinary, your horizon's too narrow. Besides food and daily expenses, What else can you talk to me about? You can no longer keep up with my pace. I can't keep up with your pace. I stood up and splashed red wine all over his face. The wine trickled down his stiff cheeks, soaking his expensive white shirt. A wave of gasps echoed through the restaurant. Everyone was looking at us. I looked down at him, speaking each word slowly and clearly. Now, I don't want you anymore, so don't even think about taking anything I gave you. I turned around, my high heels clicking sharply on the polished marble floor. Walking out of the restaurant, I took out my phone and dialed a number I knew by heart. Uncle Lee, it's me. The game is over. Freeze all accounts of Chinching Technology. Take back that black Panamera. And also, evict the resident on the top floor of Building A, Tianhui Mansion. Yes, now, immediately, this very second. 2. Gu Yanchen rushed out of the restaurant like a madman and grabbed my wrist. He still carried the scent of red wine, and his face was full of shock and anger. Su Xing, what the hell is wrong with you? Who were you on the phone with just now? I forcefully shook off his hand, my eyes cold. Someone who can take everything away from you. He clearly didn't believe it. Or rather, his cognition wouldn't allow him to. Are you still throwing a tantrum, just because I broke up with you? Su Xing, grow up. Who do you think you are? You think one phone call can freeze my company? He let out a scornful laugh, as if looking at an unreasonable lunatic. Stop pretending, come back and apologize with me, and we'll forget about it. He reached out to pull me again, but I stepped back and avoided him. Apologize. You're the one who should apologize. Gu Yanchen, a taxi happened to stop by the roadside. I opened the door and got in. Driver, please drive. Gu Yanchen pounded on the car window, his face twisted with fury. Su Xing, get out of the car right now. Explain yourself. I watched indifferently as his figure faded into the distance, my heart undisturbed. Without a single ripple of emotion, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my best friend, Xinyu. Well, Miss High and Mighty. Finally ready to spring the trap. I've already brought the security team downstairs to Tianhui Mansion. I promise you we'll throw every last piece of that scumbag's underwear out on the street. I replied with an emoji that said, nice work. Just then, a call came in from Uncle Lee. Miss Su, all corporate and personal accounts of Chinching Technology have been frozen. The banking system shows that 5 minutes ago, Gu Yanchen attempted to transfer 2 million yuan from the company account into his personal account, but the system blocked it. A cold smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. He sure ran fast. Unfortunately, it's too late. Where's the car? I asked. The tow truck is already on its way, expected to arrive at Tianhui Mansion in 10 minutes. Also, the property manager has gone upstairs with the security team. Good. I hung up the phone, leaned back against the taxi's rear seat, and watched the neon lights whizzing backward outside the window. 3 years ago, I met Gu Yanchen beneath these very neon lights, wearing a faded white t-shirt. He spoke confidently to a group of industry leaders at an entrepreneur networking event. He said he wanted to use technology to change the world. Back then, there was a light in his eyes. I thought I had found a soul unlike any other, so I set aside all my status and background, disguised myself as an ordinary girl, and went all in on the struggle alongside him. I thought he cared about me as a person, not my family background. Now I understand, he doesn't care about anyone but himself. When he had nothing, he needed my support. When he achieved fame and success, he looked down on me for being ordinary. The taxi stopped at the entrance of Tianyu Mansion. I paid the fare, pushed the door open, and got out. No sooner had I steadied myself than I saw Gu Yanchen storming out of the underground garage in his Panamera, screeching to a halt right in front of me. He slammed the car door shut and strode toward me. Su Xing, what the hell have you done? Why is the company's account frozen? The bank said it needs the authorization of the largest shareholder to unfreeze it. Did you tell your family about us? Did you ask them to use their connections to mess with me? He grabbed my shoulders and shook me violently. Do you have any idea that the company has a payment due tomorrow? If the account stays frozen, the company is finished. For the first time, a trace of panic appeared on his face. I looked at him coldly. The largest shareholder, Gu Yanchen, you don't still think you're the largest shareholder of Chinching Technology, do you? 3. Gu Yanchen was stunned. What do you mean? Ignoring him, I walked straight toward the apartment lobby. Xinyu was leaning against the front desk, idly playing with her phone. Behind her stood 2 rows of security personnel dressed in black suits and white gloves. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. Miss, you're finally here. I was dying of boredom. She walked over, took my arm, and shot a provocative glance at Gu Yanchen, who was following behind me. Oh, isn't this Mr. Gu? Why the long face? Gu Yanchen's gaze swept over the imposing group of security personnel, his face growing even paler. Su Xing, what's going on? Who are they? The property manager hurried over and gave me a respectful bow. Miss Su, you're back. Then he turned to Gu Yanchen, the smile on his face vanishing instantly, replaced by a dispassionate, businesslike coldness. Mr. Gu, we have received notification from the owner, Miss Su Xing, that you are no longer an invited resident of this apartment. Please leave immediately. Our staff can accompany you upstairs to pack your personal belongings. You have 15 minutes. Gu Yanchen stood frozen as if struck by lightning. The owner, Miss Su. He whipped around to face me, his eyes filled with disbelief. This apartment is yours. I folded my arms and looked back at him, thoroughly composed. What else did you expect? You think your paltry annual salary can cover the property management fees here? Tianyue Mansion, the most luxurious residential area in the city, has annual property management fees of 300,000. He had always believed that the company provided this as a perk for him, the CEO. He didn't know that this property management company also belongs to my family. Impossible. This can't be, he muttered, his face as pale as paper. We looked at the house together, the agent said. The agent works for me. I interrupted him. From start to finish, the property deed has only ever had my name on it. Gu Yanchen, you live in a house I bought, drive a car I gave you, use money I invested, and now you have the nerve to tell me I'm not good enough for you. Every word I spoke was like a hammer, smashing hard against his fragile pride. His body swayed, and he could barely stand steady. So, from the very beginning, you were lying to me. You were lying to yourself, I said coldly. You only believe what you want to believe. You enjoyed all of this, yet comfortably took all the credit for yourself, treating me like some accessory that needed your patronage and charity. Xinyu fanned the flames from the side. Oh, don't be like that. Our CEO Gu is heaven's favored child, relying entirely on his own talent. By the way, CEO Gu, do you have anything valuable upstairs? Better go get it now, otherwise it'll be cleared out as trash later. Gu Yanchen's lips trembled, unable to utter a single word. Just then, the crisp sound of high heels came from outside the lobby. A woman in bright attire with delicate makeup walked in. It was Lin Weiwei. She was taken aback by the tense, standoffish scene, then a scornful smile appeared on her face. She walked straight over to Gu Yanchen and familiarly took his arm. Yanchen, what's going on? I called you, but you didn't answer. She glanced at me, her eyes brimming with undisguised superiority. Su Xing, why are you still haunting Yanchen like some restless spirit, after a breakup? You should have some self-awareness, making such a scene. How embarrassing, she thought. I was showing up uninvited, throwing a tantrum because I couldn't accept being dumped. For Lin Weiwei's words were like a needle, piercing the eerie silence on the scene. Gu Yanchen's face turned from ashen to purple. He tried to pull his arm out of Lin Weiwei's grip, but she only held on tighter. Weiwei, don't say anything for a moment. His voice was dry. Lin Weiwei misunderstood. Thinking he wanted to make a clean break with this ex-girlfriend in front of her, she straightened up and lifted her chin even higher. What's wrong, Yanchen? What's so hard to say? Isn't it just that she's making a scene because she thought the breakup money you gave her wasn't enough? She pulled a card from her Hermes Birkin bag and held it out to me disdainfully. Here, there's 100,000 in this. Is that enough? If not, I can add more. A woman should really rely on herself, not always cling to a man. Look at me. I've only been working for a month, and Yanchen already rewarded me with this Maserati. She proudly dangled the car keys in her hand. Xinyu let out a snort of laughter. A Maserati, Mr. Gu is certainly generous, but what about that Panamera he drives? Why haven't I seen you take it out? Lin Weiwei's smile froze for a moment. That's a company car. Yanchen is low-key and usually doesn't like to show off. No sooner had she finished speaking than a massive tow truck roared into the plaza in front of the apartment building and pulled up next to the black Panamera. Several workers in uniforms jumped out and began swiftly attaching the towing equipment. Lin Weiwei's eyes widened. What are they doing? Why are they towing Yanchen's car? Gu Yanchen's body was trembling. He stared at me intently, his lips parting and closing, but no sound came out. I took out my phone, opened a recording, and turned on the speaker. It was a conversation I had accidentally recorded a few days ago between Gu Yanchen and Lin Weiwei in the office. Yanchen, when are you going to break up with that Su Xing? She's so frumpy, standing next to her just brings you down. Soon, baby, once the company's next round of funding is finalized, I'll come clean with her. A woman like that can be sent away with a bit of money. What about you? What reward do you want? The latest designer bag, or a car? I want shares in your company. Haha, you've got quite the ambition. Fine, once I've kicked out everyone who's in the way, I'll make you the boss's wife. The recording echoed through the quiet lobby, every word crystal clear. Lin Weiwei's face instantly drained of all color. The security personnel and property manager nearby maintained expressionless faces. but the contempt in their eyes could not be hidden. Gu Yanchen's expression could no longer be described as merely unpleasant. It was as if he had been stripped naked and left on a busy street corner for everyone to gawk at. Su Xing, he rasped, you. I turned off the recording, and a new message popped up on my phone screen. It was sent by Uncle Li. Miss, all partners of Chinching Technology have been notified that our company will undergo asset liquidation and reorganization. All cooperation based on Gu Yanchen's personal credit will be terminated immediately. In addition, the 20 million yuan loan contract he signed in his personal name will mature in 3 working days. If the loan is not repaid by then, legal proceedings will be initiated. I turned my phone screen toward him so he could clearly see every word on it. Loan contract, Lin Weiwei shrieked. Yanchen, didn't you say that was an investment? How could it be a loan? Gu Yanchen ignored her. He stared fixedly at my phone, his pupils suddenly contracting. 20 million yuan in personal debt. The company was gone, the car was gone, the house was gone, and now he was also burdened with a massive debt heavy enough to crush him for the rest of his life. He finally understood this was no joke. Nor was it me throwing a tantrum and bringing my family to teach him a lesson. This was a long, premeditated, one-sided massacre. With a dull thud, Gu Yanchen's legs gave way, and he fell to his knees. 5. The moment he knelt, the air in the entire hall froze. The young elite who had seemed invincible just a second ago was now a groveling loser. Lin Weiwei, frightened, let go of his arm and stumbled back repeatedly, as if afraid of attracting some kind of bad luck. Yanchen, what are you doing? Get up. Gu Yanchen turned a deaf ear. He looked up at me, his face, the one that had once made my heart race, now etched with fear and remorse. Xing, I was wrong. He moved forward on his knees, trying to grab my ankle. I really was wrong. I shouldn't have said those things. I shouldn't have been so bewitched. Please forgive me. Okay. I stepped back in disgust, avoiding his touch. Xing stood in front of me and sneered, realizing your mistake now. It's too late. Back when you looked down on our Xing for being ordinary, why didn't you think this day would come? I'm a scumbag. I'm worse than an animal. Gu Yanchen gave himself a sharp slap across the face, the crisp sound echoing through the lobby. Xing, give me one more chance. Let's start over. I swear I won't see Lin Weiwei again. I'll fire her right now. No, I'll return the company to you. I'll work for you. I don't want anything. As long as you don't leave me. He was weeping bitterly, looking utterly pitiful, but looking at him, I only felt deep disgust. If today I were still that ordinary girl in his eyes, would he kneel and beg me? No, he will just discard me like trash, then move his new flame into my house, drive my car, and continue his so-called successful life. He's not begging me, he's begging for my money, my connections, the power that can bring him back from the brink. Gu Yanchen, save your pathetic act. My voice was utterly devoid of warmth. Property manager, time's up, show him out. Yes, Miss Su. The property manager waved his hand, and 2 security guards immediately stepped forward, grabbing Gu Yanchen by the arms from both sides. No, Xing, you can't do this to me. Gu Yanchen struggled violently. What about our 3 years together? Have you forgotten everything? Forgotten how I took care of you when you were sick? Forgotten the future we planned together? You said you'd build the company with me and take it public. I laughed. When I was sick, you fed me takeout I ordered myself. The future we planned was you as CEO and me as a housewife. As for taking the company public, I paused and looked into his eyes. It will happen, just that it will have nothing to do with you anymore. The security guard stopped wasting words on him and forcibly dragged him out. He was dragged away like a dead dog, still wailing incessantly. Su Xing, you venomous woman, you won't die a peaceful death. I'll come back to haunt you even as a ghost. Lin Weiwei stood by, watching the farce unfold, her expression shifting repeatedly. She finally realized that the man she had latched onto was no eligible bachelor, but a complete sponger, and now, this free ride had completely come to an end. Quietly, step by step, she backed away, trying to slip off. Miss Lin, please stay. Xing stopped her. Lin Weiwei's body went stiff. She turned around and forced a smile that looked even worse than crying. Miss Shen, and, Miss Su, that was all a misunderstanding just now. I didn't know. Xing walked up to her, circled around her, and clicked her tongue in amazement. Chanel suit, 200,000, Hermes Birkin bag, 300,000, that Cartier ballon blue on your wrist with diamonds, 500,000, right. With every word Xing said, Lin Weiwei's face turned whiter. Gu Yanchen bought all of this for you with our Xing's money, and now, Xing is unhappy. Xing looked at her with a beaming smile. So, what do you think should be done about it? 6. Lin Weiwei's body began to tremble. She looked at me pleadingly, her eyes filled with desperation, Miss Sue, I really didn't know that money was yours. I thought it was money Mr. Gu earned himself. If I had known, I would never have taken it. She rushed to distance herself from any blame, as if she were the most innocent victim. These things, I'll give them back to you. As she spoke, she fumbled to take off her watch, then tried to unbuckle the strap of her bag. That won't be necessary. I spoke coldly. Lin Weiwei stopped moving and looked at me in confusion. I walked up to her, my gaze falling on her face with its meticulously applied makeup. Consider these things a gift from me. She was stunned, apparently not expecting me to let her off so easily. However, I shifted gears. I have one condition. Name it. Name it. I agree to any condition. She nodded eagerly like a pecking chicken. I want you to take everything you saw and heard here today, word for word, and post it on your Moments, your Weibo, and all your social media platforms. I looked at her face, which had turned instantly pale, and continued, I've already come up with a title for you, How I Was Scammed Out of My Money and Body by a Fake CEO. Of course, you don't have to post it, but Uncle Lee, I turned to the assistant standing nearby, look up Miss Lin's employment records and the purchase history of her Maserati. If the source of funds involves Chinching Technology, report it to the police as embezzlement and misappropriation of company assets. Uncle Lee gave a slight bow. Yes, Miss Lin Weiwei's legs gave way, and she nearly collapsed to the floor. Embezzlement meant prison time. She looked at me, her eyes filled with fear. She finally understood that I wasn't joking with her. On one side was a loss of millions in luxury goods, along with complete public ruin. On the other side was keeping the goods, but possibly facing prison time. She was smart enough to make her choice immediately. I'll post it, right now. Her hands trembling, she took out her phone and began typing. Xinyu leaned in, watching her screen like a supervisor. Hey, no, make it sound more tragic here. Paint yourself as an innocent girl blinded by love, and here, you need to roast Gu Yanchen as the ultimate scumbag, for deceiving an innocent girl's feelings and squandering investors' hard-earned money. Photos. Don't forget to include a picture of you crying, tear-stained and pitiful, the kind that melts hearts. Under Xinyu's guidance, a vividly emotional piece of writing was quickly brought to life after clicking send. Lin Weiwei handed me her phone, as if awaiting judgment. I glanced at it and gave a slight nod. You may leave now. Relieved as if granted a pardon, she scrambled and stumbled her way out of the lobby. She didn't even dare to glance again at the Maserati she had been so proud of just moments before. Finally, the lobby fell silent. Gu Yanchen was dragged out, and Lin Weiwei ran off as well. The property manager directed the security team to start clearing out the miscellaneous items Gu Yanchen had left in the upstairs apartment. One black garbage bag after another was tossed out. Inside were his shirts worth thousands each, sneakers costing tens of thousands, and the couple's mugs we once bought together. Now, they were all trash. Xinyu walked over to me and gently patted me on the shoulder. It's all over. A jerk like him isn't worth it. I nodded, but my heart felt hollow. The phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I picked up. On the other end of the line came a sharp female voice. Is this Su Xing? You little whore. What have you done to my son? It was Gu Yanchen's mother. 7. I had only seen Gu Yanchen's mother a few times. During video calls every single time, she picks on me, complaining that I'm not pretty enough, my figure isn't full enough, and my words aren't sweet enough. In her eyes, her son, a prestigious university graduate who owns his own company, is a dragon or phoenix from the heavens, while I am nothing but a lowly pheasant on the ground trying to latch onto him. Auntie, is there something you need? I asked flatly. Is there something I need? How dare you ask me that? Her voice was sharp and piercing, as if it would shatter my eardrums. My son just called me, crying his heart out. He said you hired someone to hurt him, kicked him out of the house, and are trying to ruin his company. How could you be so venomous? What has my Yanchen ever done to wrong you? If it weren't for me feeling sorry for you, struggling all alone out there, would Yanchen have ever gotten together with you? You can't even show a shred of gratitude, and on top of that, you turn around and bite him. What the hell are you plotting? Every word she said was a dagger to the heart. I could even imagine the way she's probably frothing at the mouth right now, her face twisted with rage. I wasn't angry. I just found it pitiful for Gu Yanchen, and pitiful for her. Auntie, I think you've gotten a few things wrong. I cut off her tirade. First, I didn't hire anyone to beat him up. He refused to leave my home, and my security staff were simply doing their jobs. Second, it's not that I want to ruin his company, it's that I want to take back my company. The 2 million in startup capital for Chinching Technology came from me personally. The contract is crystal clear. I hold 90% of the shares, making me the absolute majority owner. Gu Yanchen only holds 10% in technical equity and management rights. Third, and most importantly, the house he lives in, the car He drives, every penny he spends, all of it comes from me, and yet, using my money, he's been keeping another woman on the side, and has the nerve to say I'm not good enough for him. Now, do you still think I'm the one with a venomous heart? On the other end of the line, there was dead silence. A long time passed, so long that I thought she had already hung up. Then, in an incredulous, trembling voice, she spoke again. What? What did you say? The company's money is yours, yes, and the house is yours too, yes. Then, what about Yanchen? Now he has nothing left. On top of that, he owes me 20 million in his own name. If he can't repay it within 3 working days, my lawyer will formally sue him. Thud. I thought I heard the sound of something falling to the ground on the other end of the line. Then came a man's anxious voice. Old woman, what's wrong? Wake up. It was Gu Yanchen's father. He took the phone. Hello, is this a mess, Sue? His voice carried a cautious, tentative tone. This is Gu Yanchen's father. His mother got so agitated just now that she fainted. Ms. Sue, could there be some misunderstanding here? Yanchen, he's not the kind of person who bites the hand that feeds him. You young people, can't you sit down and have a proper talk? Don't let things get so strained. His tone was very polite, almost pleading. It was a world of difference from his wife's attitude just moments ago. This is reality. When they think I'm a pushover, they can easily crush. They heap on all kinds of humiliation. When they realized I was a tough nut they couldn't kick around or push over, they put on a different face. Uncle, there's nothing left to discuss between Gu Yanchen and me. As for the 20 million, it's clearly stated in black and white in the contract. I suggest you start preparing sooner rather than later. With that, I hung up the phone directly. Finally, the world was quiet. Xingyu handed me a glass of warm water. Feel better? I took a sip and shook my head. No, I just don't find it interesting. After 3 years of this one-woman show, I'm finally tired of it. 8 The next day, I went to the offices of Chinching Technology. Overnight, everything had changed there. The sign at the company's entrance no longer read Chinching Technology but had been replaced with Xingyao Holding Group. This was a subsidiary of my father's group, specifically responsible for handling such investments and acquisitions. The company's employees had all received notices to temporarily suspend work and wait for further arrangements from the group. I walked into the bright, spacious CEO office that had once belonged to Gu Yanchen. His presence still lingered in the office. On the desk sat a photo frame, holding a picture of the two of us together. In the photo, we were smiling brightly. It was taken during a team-building trip. When we reached the top of a mountain, with a magnificent sunrise behind us, Gu Yanchen had his arm around me and whispered in my ear, Xing, once the company goes public, we'll get married. I'm going to make you the happiest woman in the world. I reached out, picked up the photo frame, and traced his young face in the picture. Back then, there was still light in his eyes. When did that light go out? Did it start the first time he complained that the clothes I bought weren't classy enough? Or was it the first time he used being busy as an excuse to cancel our date? Perhaps from the very beginning, I had misjudged him. I pulled open the drawer and tossed the photo frame inside. Out of sight, out of mind. Uncle Lee walked in with the legal and financial teams. Miss, the asset liquidation is complete. Aside from that 10% in phantom shares, Gu Yanchen has no actual assets in the company. The balance in his personal account is less than 5 figures. All the credit cards under his name have been suspended by the banks due to the freeze on the company's associated accounts. By the way, that little SA Lin Weiwei robe worked pretty well. For once, a trace of a smile appeared on Uncle Lee's face. Now the entire internet is calling Gu Yanchen a century-class gold digger and the ultimate phoenix man. Even some of the old negative news about Chinching Technology has been dug up, like defaulting on supplier payments and forcing employees to work overtime. I nodded. Good, organize all this evidence. Doesn't he love playing the promising young talent persona? I'll give him exactly what he wishes for. So what's next for the company? Restructure. Then rename, I said. Keep the core technology, cut all the dead weight and the cronies. I want this company's profits to double within 3 months. Uncle Lee's eyes lit up. Boss D, are you stepping in to take over personally? What else? I shot back. Why should I let other people turn my own things into such a mess? This was not just about revenge on Gu Yanchen, this was also my career. I had personally nurtured this project, and I couldn't let it be destroyed like this. Just as I was speaking, there was a knock on the office door. It was the receptionist, looking troubled. Ms. Sue, Mr. Gu is downstairs. He insists on seeing you, and we can't stop him. Before I could say anything, the office door was suddenly pushed open from the outside. Gu Yanchen stormed in. He looked even more disheveled than yesterday, his hair disheveled, eyes sunken, face unshaven, still wearing the same wrinkled shirt from the day before, now stained with dried wine. He was like a cornered beast, his eyes bloodshot. He saw me sitting in his former chair, in control of everything that had once been his body swayed, and the fury in his eyes was instantly replaced by despair. He walked to the desk, braced his hands on its surface, leaned down, and fixed me with a piercing stare. Su Xing, you win. His voice was hoarse, like sandpaper scraping. What exactly do you want? Will you be happy if you drive me to death? I leaned back in my chair and calmly met his gaze. What am I trying to do? I'm simply taking back what belongs to me, what belongs to you. He let out a bitter laugh. 3 years of love, is that just a thing in your eyes? You're the one who put a price tag on it first. From the drawer, I took out the bank card he had given me, the one with $500,000 in it. I slid it across the desk toward him. Take it, breakup fee. His pupils suddenly contracted. As if the words had stung him deeply, he suddenly reached out across the desk, trying to grab me. Uncle Lee and the security guards behind him immediately stepped forward and subdued him. He struggled frantically but was pinned down firmly. Then, under everyone's gaze, he did something that left everyone utterly stunned. His knees went weak, and he knelt down again, this time, even more completely and humiliatingly than when he knelt in the lobby yesterday, tilting his head back to look at me. Tears mixed with remorse streamed from his reddened eyes. Xing Xing, I beg you. Give me back my company. I can't live without it. It's my everything. 9. His cries were especially piercing in the quiet office. Uncle Lee and the legal team frowned, their faces showing an expression of unbearable pity. I quietly watched him, this man who once stood before me so full of pride, now kneeling on the ground like a dog, begging for mercy. I felt no thrill of revenge, only a bone-deep sadness. You're everything, I said softly. Is your idea of a life's ambition to step on my shoulders to reach the wealth and glory you desire? No, that's not true, he denied urgently. I love you, Xing Xing. I've always loved you. I was just blinded by success, confused for a moment. Love, I laughed. What do you love about me? That I do your laundry and cook for you, that I know nothing about your career, so you can comfortably flaunt your superiority, or that I'm ordinary enough for you to kick me aside anytime for someone more glamorous. With every word I spoke, the color drained from his face. His mouth opened, but he couldn't refute a thing, because everything I said was the truth. Gu Yanchen, you never loved me. You loved the tool who catered to your every whim and fed your chauvinistic vanity. What you love is yourself. I stood up, walked over to him, and crouched down so I was at eye level with him. We were so close that I could clearly see the bloodshot veins in his eyes and the panic on his face that he hadn't had time to hide. You're kneeling here begging me now, not because you love me, and not because you regret it. It's because you've lost everything, and you're afraid. You're afraid of going back to being that poor kid with nothing. You're afraid of facing 20 million in debt. You're afraid of falling from the heights into the mud. So you come to me, clinging to me like I'm your last lifeline. I reached out and gently patted his face, a gesture that was once so affectionate, now filled with nothing but humiliation. But Gu Yanchen, I am not your lifeline. I am the last straw that breaks your back. With that, I stood up and didn't look at him again. Uncle Lee, call the police. Just say someone trespassed on private property and threatened me physically. Yes, miss. Gu Yanchen's head snapped up, his eyes filled with utter disbelief. Call the police. Su Xing, you want to call the police on me? He seemed never to have imagined that I would go this far. You have such a ruthless heart. He scrambled up from the ground and tried to charge at me, but 2 tall security guards held him firmly in place, leaving him unable to move. The police arrived very quickly. After listening to Uncle Lee's statement and reviewing the surveillance footage, they took Gu Yanchen away on charges of picking quarrels and provoking trouble. As he was being taken away, he kept looking back at me, his eyes filled with a mix of anger, malice, and a trace of despair I couldn't quite understand. Finally, the office fell silent again. The head of the legal team walked over and asked in a low voice, Miss, regarding the 20 million debt, should we proceed directly with legal action, or pursue legal action? I said without hesitation. But, if he doesn't have any assets under his name, even if we win the case, all we'll get is a judgment. The money, I don't care about the money. I interrupted him. What I want is for him to carry this stain for the rest of his life. I want him to know that there are things you can't just take or discard. As you please. I would make him pay the heaviest price for his arrogance and betrayal. What I want isn't money, it's to make sure he never recovers. 10. Gu Yanchen was detained for 15 days. During those 15 days, the world changed dramatically. Qinxing Technology was officially renamed Qiming Venture Partners, and I personally took over as CEO. The first thing I did was call a company-wide meeting. I didn't paint a rosy picture or make empty promises. I hereby announce that all employees will receive a 20% salary increase, along with retroactive payment of overtime and bonuses that were previously withheld by Gu Yanchen under various pretexts. At the same time, I have eliminated all flashy projects that served only Gu Yanchen's personal vanity, and redirected all resources toward the R&D and upgrading of core technologies. I also personally led the team to visit suppliers that Gu Yanchen had failed to pay. Instead of throwing my weight around, I approached them with the utmost sincerity, settled all outstanding debts, and promised more favorable terms for future cooperation. For a time, morale both inside and outside the company was greatly boosted. Employees who had once complained bitterly about Gu Yanchen's management were now brimming with motivation. Partners who had once been utterly disappointed in Chinching technology began to regain their confidence, and amid all this hectic work, I rapidly grew and matured. I am no longer that Su Xing who hides behind the scenes and only knows how to fall in love. I am the CEO of Qiming Venture Partners, the eldest daughter of the Su family who makes decisive moves at the negotiation table and remains calm and composed when making decisions. That day, I had just finished an international video conference when Xinyu's call came in. Her voice was full of gloating. Xing, guess who I just saw at the mall? Who? Gu Yanchen's mom. I raised an eyebrow, a little surprised. What is she doing at the mall in our neighborhood? Gu Yanchen's hometown is a small fourth-tier city, and it takes 7 or 8 hours to get here by high-speed rail. What else? Coming to find you. Xinyu was laughing hysterically on the other end of the line. She couldn't find your company, and she couldn't get into your place, so she was waiting for you outside the luxury goods store at the mall we usually go to. In the end, security mistook her for a troublemaker and escorted her out. When I saw her, she was sitting on the edge of a flower bed, wiping away tears, with 2 huge woven plastic bags beside her. She looked absolutely pathetic. I could picture that scene. An old woman who had thrown her weight around in a small town her whole life, now in an international metropolis for the first time, facing nothing but rejection and humiliation at every turn. Did she try to reach you? Of course she did. When she saw me, she rushed over like I was her savior, grabbed my hand, and with tears and snot running down her face, begged me to bring her to see you. She said she knows she was wrong, that her family has wronged you, and begged you to go easy on her son. What did you tell her? What could I say? I told her that you're very busy right now and don't have time to see her. If she wants to meet you, she'll have to make an appointment on your company's official website. When the appointment is scheduled depends on her luck. I couldn't help but laugh. This was exactly something Xinyu would do. Oh, right, Xinyu added. She also shoved something into my hand and insisted I pass it on to you. What is it? No idea. A cloth bundle, wrapped up in layer after layer of fabric, very mysterious. Should I bring it to your company now? Sure. Half an hour later, Xinyu appeared in my office and placed the mysterious cloth bundle on my desk. The outer layer of the cloth bundle was made of coarse fabric, washed until pale. Opening it revealed a layer of plastic sheeting, and only after removing that did the contents inside come to light. It was a bankbook and a small, red jewelry box. I opened the bankbook. It bore the names of Gu Yanchen's parents, and the issuing bank was a small branch in their hometown. The balance in the bankbook was 308,621.50 yuan. I could imagine that this was perhaps a lifetime of savings for them. I then opened the jewelry box. Inside was a pair of old-fashioned gold dragon and phoenix bangles. The bangle looked quite old, bearing the wear and tear of years of use. Xinyu leaned in for a look, then curled her lip. What's this supposed to mean? Giving alms to a beggar, trying to pay off a 20 million debt with 300,000. I looked at the pair of bangles and said nothing. I remembered that Gu Yanchen had once mentioned them to me. He said his mother had a pair of family heirloom dragon and phoenix bangles, passed down to her by his grandmother, to be given to his future wife. So this was their final gesture of sincerity, using their life savings and an heirloom full of meaning to beg for my forgiveness. If this had happened a month ago, I might have softened, but now, as I look at these things, all that remains in my heart is an icy calm. I rewrapped the bankbook and jewelry box and handed them to Xinyu. Help me send these back. Use Gu Yanchen's hometown address. Also, include one of my business cards, and tell them that if they want to talk, their son will have to come to my office in person. I want to see if he still has the nerve to face me. 11. Gu Yanchen came to my company on the 3rd day after his detention ended. He didn't make an appointment and barged straight to the front desk. The young woman at the reception didn't recognize him and assumed he was there to cause trouble, so she called the security guard. I saw him on the surveillance footage. He had lost a lot of weight and gotten tanned. He was wearing a cheap tracksuit and a pair of sneakers from an unrecognizable brand. His hair was cut very short, almost to the scalp. In just over half a month, the aura of an elite young talent that once surrounded him had vanished without a trace. In its place was A numbness and dejection born from being repeatedly battered by life. I told the receptionist to let him in. He walked into my office. Without the anger or the desperate kneeling pleas from last time, he just stood there, looking at me in silence. I looked at him too. Between us stood a wide mahogany desk. This desk was like an unbridgeable chasm, completely separating our worlds. Have a seat. I pointed to the chair across from me. He hesitated, then pulled out the chair and sat down. His posture was stiff and uneasy. Did my parents send you something? He spoke first, his voice hoarse. I received it, and sent it back, I said. His shoulders slumped, and a bitter, unsurprised smile appeared on his face. I knew it. From his pocket, he pulled out a neatly folded piece of paper. He slid the paper across to me. This is my parents' old house. It's in the old town, not worth much, maybe 500,000, and as for me, I have nothing left to my name. He paused, then looked up, a flicker of emotion finally showing in his eyes. Su Xing, I know I'll never be able to pay back 20 million in my lifetime. I'm not here today to ask you to forgive the debt. I just want to ask you, can you give me a way out? There was a slight tremor in his voice. I've looked for work, but, with my criminal record and all those news stories online, no company is willing to take me. I can carry bricks at construction sites, or deliver food on a scooter. I'm not afraid of hard work. I just want a chance to start over. I'll pay you back in installments. 10 years, 20 years, or even my whole life, whatever it takes. He looked at me, his eyes stripped of all pretense, revealing nothing but raw pleading. I looked back at him, silent for a long time. I had imagined the scene of our reunion countless times. I thought I would humiliate him mercilessly and crush him beneath my feet, but when it actually came down to this moment, I found that I didn't want to do anything at all. All the resentment, anger, and unwillingness seemed to vanish into thin air the moment I saw him like this. He has already been punished, a punishment more thorough than I had imagined. I had destroyed everything he once took pride in. Casting him down from the heights into the abyss, to take one more step on him seemed to have lost all meaning. Gu Yanchen, finally, I spoke. Do you remember what you said when we first met? He was stunned for a moment, as if struggling to recall. I said, you said you wanted to use technology to change the world. You were very charismatic back then. He lowered his head, his shoulders trembling slightly. I'll give you a chance, I said. He jerked his head up, and an unbelievable light burst forth in his eyes. Under my company, there is a newly established public welfare fund focused on supporting technical education in remote areas. Right now, we're short a project executor, no high salary, no glory, and you'd have to stay in the mountains year-round. No internet, no entertainment, just a group of children in need. And the harshest living conditions. Half of your salary will be deducted directly to pay off your debts. I looked at him. Are you willing to go? This is neither charity nor forgiveness. It's the best ending I can think of. For him and for myself, I offered him a way to live, a path to atonement. Let him go into the mountains to find the very first light he ever had, and let me, too, completely let go of this unbearable past. Gu Yanchen looked at me for a long, long time. His eyes slowly turned red. And then tears fell. He didn't say a word. He just stood up and bowed deeply to me. 12. Gu Yanchen left. He went to a distant mountain village, one whose name I don't even know. Before he left, he sent me one last message. Thank you. And, I'm sorry. I didn't reply. I deleted all his contact information. Life, it seemed, had returned to normal under my leadership. Chiming Venture Partners grew more prosperous by the day, quickly making a name for itself in the industry. I became what others called the decisive, sharp-eyed beautiful CEO. Occasionally, late at night, I would stand alone before the floor-to-ceiling window of my office, gazing at the myriad lights of the city below, and feel a hint of daze. Xinyu was afraid I might get depressed from being cooped up, so she kept dragging me to all kinds of parties every few days. At a wine reception, I met a very interesting person. He was the boss of another venture capital firm, young, promising, witty, and charming. We hit it off right away, talking about everything from business models to future technologies, and then to the indie films we both loved. As the reception ended, he asked for my contact information. Mr. Su, it was a pleasure meeting you. I hope that from now on, we won't just be competitors, but also friends. I smiled and exchanged business cards with him on the way home. Xinyu chattered nonstop in my ear. Xing, this guy is great, handsome, from a good family, highly capable, and most importantly, the way he looks at you is with pure admiration and respect, completely different from that scumbag Gu Yanchen. I looked out the window and said nothing. My phone buzzed with a message from that man. Good night, Miss Su. Looking forward to our next meeting. The corners of my mouth unconsciously curled up slightly. Maybe it was time to start a new chapter. 1 year later, I received a package sent from deep in the mountains. There was no letter inside, only a thick photo album. In the album were the smiling Faces of children, they wore clean school uniforms, sat in bright classrooms, and listened attentively to the lessons. The backgrounds of the photos showed a brand new school building and a lush green playground. In the corner of one group photo, I spotted a familiar figure. He had gotten darker and stronger, dressed in a simple white t-shirt, with a gentle smile on his face. In his eyes, there was light again, the very light that had once drawn me in, and that he later extinguished with his own hands. I closed the photo album and tucked it into the deepest corner of the bookcase. Then, I picked up my phone and sent a message to the man named Luce. "Free tonight, let me treat you to dinner." He replied instantly, "My pleasure." I smiled. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, warming me all over.